owners in this community, because you're here, and yes, whatever can be said about where you can and can't be, but you're here. So since you're here, then please take a vested interest in this community. Reinvest in this community. Continue to invest in this community. And by all means, if you see people loitering outside your business, ask not to do that. Because there's a residual effect to the community at large, where people live. After the business owners go home and the employees go wherever they go, we still have to live here. So please take that into consideration. Again, thank you for what you're doing. And please know that there are people who live here, who are vested here, who are going to stand behind you all to support what you're doing to help hold the businesses accountable in this village. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so these are the last two that are coming up on time. So these two. And then we do actually have Maywood Express Mart here, so all 7 of the businesses are here speaking tonight. Yeah.
My name is Saiba, and when I saw this post come up, I knew I had to come here to speak about just one store that affects me every day. I have 3 kids in Garfield Elementary, and I have to drive by the store on 17 off Madison, One Stop Express. And it's very disheartening seeing everyone outside, and I have a lot of stories, and I can imagine a lot of my neighbors see what's going on 17. To me, that should be the grocery store. I can feel free to go in and run in and get a gallon of milk, stop for some groceries. That should be our grocery store. So I think moving forward, if, you know, like as a business owner, you are taking us seriously in the neighborhood, you should make it more of a neighborhood grocery store. We should have flyers with advertisements. It's not on Google. There's no platforms advertising the store at all. So it's not inviting us. And now seeing that there's minors purchasing tobacco products, I have to wonder if the target market, it's not the families, and instead selling things that they shouldn't be selling. And that's all I have to say for that.
You're right. Very good.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I have 2 comments, and I'm going to make it real quick. The first one is, if the establishment, the business, has so many issues, why do they keep getting business licenses?
Oh.
Okay, and the second comment is, why can't training be established across the board for all businesses? Other counties, other cities, they have it. When you get a business in whatever area, you have to attend training. And if you don't attend the training, you don't get your license. So maybe that's something that could probably be up. And how do you find out about the community advocacy board? Because I would love to be on it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. All right, so as everybody bringing up One Stop specifically, they do not have one fine that is a second fine for the same offense. So in order to be able to go take this all the way to appeals from a state standpoint, there has to be a case built against it. So right now when we look at, last year there was a health issue. This year there's an underage issue. They've received tickets for the loitering. There have been cameras installed that we as the Village of Maywood as the police have access to. So building a case in consideration of leading up to closure is something that we have to do, and that's what we do. When we talk about the continued training, so the one thing that I did put from the scanning system and from the continued training certifications that we want to make sure we get documented, those are ordinance updates that we need to put in place. Not just ask them to do it, but actually update our ordinance. So for anybody who wants to be a part of the ordinance conversation, the next liquor, cannabis, and tobacco meeting is on February 3rd at 6 o'clock, and it's going to be more of a workshop. We're going to have Clanthorpe and Jenkins as our legal firm. We're pulling all of the different ordinances in regards to tobacco, cannabis, and liquor to make sure that they're current 2025. Some of our ordinances are from 2014. Some of our ordinances are from 2021. But just making sure the direction that the Village of Maywood is going in today is reflected in actual policy, not just friendly requests. So for anybody who wants to be a part of that, that's going to be treated as more of a workshop, just open conversation of what ordinances and policies can be updated, changed, That'll be February 3rd at 6 o'clock, and it'll be in here in the chamber again. Maywood Express wanted to.
I'm sorry for late.
Grab the mic.
Hi, everyone. I'm sorry about what happened in my store. It's the first time. It was a mistake. My worker, he count the years wrong when he checked the ID. But I'm sorry to everyone in Maywood for this. It's never gonna happen this again.
All right. Commissioners, is there anything?
So what are you doing to prevent this moving forward?
I ordered already a scan machine for ID, stuff like this. So we can scan if we can help. I'm a boss.
What are you scanning?
No, I see machines online, like you can scan the ID when you want,
Okay,
you know?
that's what I wanted you to say.
Yeah. And then I'm about two signs in the door, outside, inside the window, so we show it's running day by day.
So you were late. There was a great suggestion that moving forward, as there's training completed for liquor and tobacco, that you would keep a chart for that, so that when code enforcement comes, they can see each employee date that they were trained, because they're gonna sign.
Yeah. I'll make sure everything goes, like, you know, the date, the year, everything, right?
Well,
Because
that holds everybody accountable. So if they go in and they say, oh, well, they sold to a minor, and you're like, well, they're new, they're under training. They've been trained.
listen, what happened, I was in the office, and he asked him for ID, but he count the years wrong. So I feel like it's heavy, you know, but I'll make sure never,
Oh,
happen.
there was another suggestion that someone had to have a cheat sheet for the employees. If that math is rocket science,
But I wanna
we
say
can have a
something, like,
cheat sheet.
sometimes come, or like, people who buy stuff for kids outside. This we can control.
We're not
Yeah,
talking
but I'm
about
sure
that.
this was
I'm
a
just
good
know,
situation.
like, everyone.
But this is
was
about the
not-
fact that y'all
Right,
said
we're
it's
not talking
not.
about that.
Because some people, they come here and say, give me this. I tell them, no. It's like for kids. He says, it's for me. I give it, I sell him. And when he outside in the parking lot, he gives it to the kids.
But we're not
Right,
talking
but
about
that's
that.
not the situation. This situation was that your establishment was called,
I make sure
selling
everything
to
goes.
a minor.
No.
This is not selling to me and I'm going outside doing it. No. This was sold to a minor, so this is your establishment. Somebody in your establishment did this at this time. This is what we're addressing right now.
Okay. I make sure everything.
So can we add that into the code enforcement checklist? You know how they make
So
sure that the
that's all.
bartenders have their training? Okay.
And to be honest, it just feels like our concerns are just being pushed under the table. It's just like, okay, I got it, I'll take care of it. And it's absolutely. And it's
That's where your
just, you know,
citizens will come
Because
in.
he's so used to just being
House
just
fire.
told, this is it, fine here, fine there. He should have been fined $15,000. And I mean, I'm just gonna be honest, he should have. Because his attitude right now is just not, it's not genuine. It's not exactly, it's not sincere.
You don't feel him being accountable?
No, it's just like, oh, this is what I'm gonna do. Like, basically, he was kind of embraced to be told what to say, to come up here, to just say, okay, I'm sorry, this is what I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna move on. And that's it.
So the February 3rd meeting is actually putting ordinance and policy in place
Okay.
to hold people accountable, right?
Yeah.
So it's not about, I tell you all the time, like, don't take it personal, which is business. The ordinance and the policy is the business. So we don't handle business.
I know for a fact you are a repeat offender.
Ooh, say it. Say it.
I'm just mad that you still got a
Say
license
it.
here in Maywood. And I'm also upset that you only got $4,000 in fine.
And one of them got 15, make it fair.
I'm just sorry you wasn't caught inside of 12 months. I'm sorry. That's lucky for you. But this is not the first time. And you know that just as well as everybody else up here does.
I would like the parks to be included with the schools, because
It
they're,
is,
okay,
it is an ordinance.
okay,
So we'll be revisiting all of that
thank you.
February 3rd. Okay, thank you. All right, so moving on from the tobacco, the only thing that we need need to talk about is Lacey's Place. So you, okay. So Lacey's Place wasn't here for, the November meeting or the December meeting to get their liquor license for the gaming location.
Okay,
So this one is closed.
okay.
So just hearing they turned in their paperwork for their liquor license, but they actually did not attend either one of the mandated meetings to come to. So what's your name?
Melissa.
So Melissa.
So Melissa is only here to renew.
Melissa's here because they missed the November and December meetings.
Okay, not a violation.
No.
I just wanted to
Yeah,
be
there's no
clear.
violation. It's
Right.
just, it's mandated that you attend the meetings and nobody from the establishment.
Do you have any questions for us?
I apologize for that. Our owners is like, kind of like trying to pass the buck down.
No problem.
And I would like to be informed of those meetings, so we can get some different names of who you guys are emailing or sending the, stuff to. I would like to be the person in charge, because like I said, I've been working for this owner for a year and a half, and I want to make sure we stay in compliance with everything. So that's why I'm like, okay, when the young lady told me you can't give you your license because you missed the meeting, I'm like, what meeting? So, and then today, they came and shut us down in the middle of the shift. And I'm like, I was only told because we missed the meeting, I'm coming today to the meeting, why did they shut us down? And I put, so she told me, a couple of weeks ago, I pulled all liquor out of I said, hey, no selling liquor until we can get this resolved.
So the reality is, you should have been shut down January 1st.
Right.
Okay.
So the fact that you can't sell liquor means that you can't do game, because you have to have a liquor license to get a game.
Okay.
So you should have been shut down January 1st. The thing I would say is, you can get with our business manager, Michelle, to see who they are emailing and what they're updating, because that's important to what you guys understand. We can't change it.
Right.
There has to be permission from the owner to actually update the information.
So where do we move forward with that? So, to get the license, because everything is paid for, and
Does anybody have anything to say about moving forward with their license?
No.
No, I was gonna ask why they didn't attend, but she answered it, so.
Alright, so there's nobody fighting your license. The next thing we just need to do is just get your liquor license approved. So then once you get the liquor license approved, then you can be open as a game. And then you get your liquor statement. And then get your, because you said you paid already.
yes, sir.
So when you get the liquor license, just make sure that your owner, whether they're email or whatever, just get with Michelle to get those contacts updated. Okay? Alright, so really quick before we adjourn, everybody has the different fees and the assessments and regulations of Maywood. So the February 3rd meeting, we're going to be looking at the surrounding communities fees for the same things, and then also talking about our liquor, tobacco, and cannabis ordinances. So there's really no meaning in regards to any of the businesses, so much as it's just updating our records. All right, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Mr. President, motion to adjourn.
Second.
Commissioner Moore adjourned, Brown Nelson second. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Mayor Booker,
Here.
Commissioner Moore, Commissioner Brown Nelson,
Aye.
Commissioner Reyes Plummer,
Aye.
Commissioner Smith.
Aye.
All right,
Why you ain't up
we
there?
adjourn. Thank you
Why
all for
you ain't
coming.
up there?
Have a blessed night.
But I was asking though, why charge $14,000 and charge the rest time when y'all need money? I know you do. I was $600 and they charge me I want to eat out. Because I never even got to give up. Because I didn't get to give up.
No gas for them.
Okay. That makes sense. That makes sense.
This one won't get
Good to see you always. Try my best. Try my best. It was tasty. Next time I'm not gonna get it with the salad. Potatoes were they not. I like them. They not as great. Or they overripe. Yeah, but I got it in the box. Yeah, I didn't get to. Are they being released? Because they didn't December. They have to come back to that yeah, because the last one so that's and the second week
I definitely will say that.
Oh, for sure? Okay. I thought you guys were taking your memories. I'm talking about the library, I'm talking about I can only handle so much.
it took me years to learn
I'll see you at the library.
once you watch how stuff
So we're gonna get the village board meeting started.
already know how to flow.
If everybody can take their seats. All right. We're gonna go ahead and call this meeting to order. Time is 7:22. Please call the roll.
Trustee Williams?
Here.
Trustee Sanchez?
Here.
Trustee Jones?
Here.
Trustee Alford?
Here.
Trustee Smiley?
Here.
Trustee Brandon?
Here.
Mayor Booker?
Here. All right, if we could get Trustee Reverend Williams to open us in invocation and then raise for the pledge of allegiance.
Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for your loving kindness, your mercy, and your grace. Thank you for each and every person that's here today, God, each and every person that's pressed their way out. God, we ask that you allow us to conduct this meeting, to govern this meeting according to your will. We ask you to breathe on this meeting, each and every elected official here that's serving in this capacity, God. Say special prayers for all of our bereaved families, God, folks who've lost people over this holiday season. Say special prayers for them also, God. In Jesus' name we thank you. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I need a motion to approve the village meeting Board of Trustees on Tuesday, December 16th and Tuesday, December 4th of 2025. Need a motion to approve. Motion by Trustee Owsley, second by Trustee Sanchez. Please call the roll.
Trustee Williams?
Aye.
Trustee Sanchez?
Aye.
Trustee Jones?
Aye.
Trustee Alford?
Aye.
Trustee Smiley?
Aye.
Trustee Brandon?
Aye.
Mayor Booker?
Aye. All right, we have Director Ms. Banks for community engagement to give us oaths, report, proclamations, announcements, and appointments.
Good evening, Mayor and Board of Trustees.
Good evening.
The Village of Maywood extends its condolences to the families of Mr. Burnell Collins, longtime Maywood resident, Mrs. Alberta Lynn Blackwell, a Maywood native, Mr. Ernie Ballman, longtime Maywood resident and beloved co-founder of Maywood Fine Arts, Stairway to the Stars, and Ernie's Flip Flop and Fly. Bishop Dr. Paul Porter, beloved founder and overseer of Proviso Missionary Baptist Church, and founder and CEO of PLCCA, Inc. of Maywood. Please keep all of these families in your thoughts and prayers during this time. Upcoming events, Village of Maywood's Winter Spring Youth Programming Resource Fair will be held this Saturday, January 17th, from 1 until 4 p.m. at the Maywood Masonic Temple, 200 South 5th Avenue. All parents of youth ages 5 to 24 are invited to come out and meet with different organizations in our community to learn about the different programs that are happening in and around the Village of Maywood. Our 2026 Annual Community Workshop will be held on Saturday, January 24th, from 10 a.m. until 1 p.m. at the Maywood Masonic Temple. Come out and let's talk grocery stores, sports complex, environment and infrastructure, our economic empowerment center, and our crisis emergency response club.
Please come and be part of the conversation. As a reminder, visit the village website at www.maywood-il.gov to stay abreast of all current and upcoming village events.
Thank you, Ms. Banks. All right, for financial reports, items A or B, does anybody have any questions for the financial report or the warrant list? Hearing none, we'll go to the village president's report. Items A and B, does anybody have any questions in regards to the village president's report?
I do, Mayor.
Trustee Jones?
Item B, question why? Why is it not a new business item or old business item? First.
So this is just a report update of what you received as a confidential memo. When we go with, there's an actual hearing that we go to when we go to board meeting. So 30 Madison actually is its own meeting that we'll have to recess this meeting and go to.
And under that meeting, well, I'm sorry. And I guess, and so then we would approve this under an omnibus item versus like a new business
So it's not new business.
or old business? I guess it would be old business, right?
Unless you wanted to pull it from omnibus and we individually voted on
Yeah,
it.
I would, yeah.
Okay.
This kind of sets it up as, like, you know, set up bullet phenomenal, like, it'd be good if we could do it old business.
That's fine.
Okay. Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
I have a question.
Trustee Brandon?
Yeah, my question is on the same item. I have a question for actually staff, Michelle, of Chief.
So, trustee, there's a whole hearing for this specifically. So the 30 Madison, the owners are here, like they're gonna present, we're gonna do Q&A, have all those questions specifically for this.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Public comment. We have no public comment tonight. So moving on to village manager's report.
Nina Westbrook.
Nina Westbrook. So just 3 minutes. You provide your name. You do not have to provide your address. You do not have to provide your address. Just your name.
Nina Westbrook on 3rd Avenue in Maywood. I'd just like to make some comments on Reverend Porter's funeral. It was really something awesome to see. Everybody from the state was there. The governor was there. Brett Winkle was there. The mayor of Chicago was there. Our mayor was there. And the mayors from other counties. And I really appreciate the way that they sent Reverend Porter off. And I can see where for young, bright people that don't need a liquor license can have some opportunities to form businesses for young people, middle-aged people, and the seniors. Seem like sometimes we're lost or maybe forgotten in the mix, but I can see where we could do some projects and, you know, maybe take his example of going and finding some money to do some great things with it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Under village president's report, does anybody have any questions in regards to village president? I'm sorry, village manager's report. Correct. All right. Hearing none, we'll go into the village attorney's report. Does anybody have any questions in regards? No, sir. Is there anybody that would like to have any questions for village attorney's report?
Well, I kind of like the village manager's report.
B.
A.
A.
The monthly reports.
Hmm?
Just so, I guess I would ask the interim village manager or staff, do you have any concerns kind of going into budget season? I know I kind of spoke about us having like a thing meeting about it. There has been some changes or vacancies within the departments. Do you have any concerns we go into the budget and preparing those budgets as far as just creating them, what the needs are going to be for this fiscal year? I guess I just want to get your take on that, just your thoughts.
Acting village manager, Satchel.
So, not at this time. I actually met with each of the department heads with the exception of the public works director out in training. So we did pre-meets just to see where they are currently in their budgets. It's a few lines that are a little bit over to understand why. So moving forward, if that's the amount that it's going to take to cover that they budgeted in next year. And then to kind of have an understanding of if there's some items that are still left to do between now and April 30th, to make sure that we go ahead and get that done. And if not, that we're shoring it up so they can budget it, next year. There is sometimes a question about if I don't spend this, is it automatically rolling into next year? No, it doesn't. You have to rebudget it. So it's just incidents that we all met today, and then we'll meet again early February with their next year's proposed budget and be ready to bring it here in March.
Okay. I'm hoping we can meet in February. Just as a tentative, but my last question would be for the departments that might have a vacancy at the department head level, who should be the point of contact now? So let's say code enforcement or HR. Who's like the designated point of contact for just the residential transportation?
For HR, it's Linda Gant.
Okay.
Unfortunately, she just got called for jury duty, so she's out also.
Okay.
Just, for jury duty. And then for code, it's Greg Cannon, the public works director.
Okay.
His background is actually in code enforcement, so he's well versed on that. And like I said, he was out today just updating those credentials for code, but that's his background.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
All right. Village attorney report. Hearing none.
Oh, I have a question. This is for the attorney. Is there an update in general on the proposed TIF dates and meetings? Are we still the same? Because I'm seeing the public meeting dates are still 2024, or still TBD.
Right, they are still TBD. My understanding is we're still working with the state to get all the different public bodies have taken their actions, and then we're working with the state to do the formal amendment of the enterprise zone, the enterprise zone documents, at which point we'll be able to then set it to schedule. I can't control how long the state takes, but they are working on it.
Trustee Sanchez.
Questions for our attorney. When you say the other bodies, you mean the other municipalities?
The other municipalities, Cook County, Broadview, Forest Park.
So, Cook County, Melrose Park, Bellwood, Cook County, Bellwood, Broadview, Maywood, Melrose. We have all of those letters.
Yep.
It's just because we're part of the regional enterprise zone, that a letter has to come from them, and then the state, like Neymar said, it just is a time when they actually process their paperwork.
Thank you.
Okay, no reports for trustee committee. So moving into the agenda for TIF public hearing, I need a motion to
Mayor, I was going
suspend.
to say something real quick about the fiscal accountability and government transparency.
Trustee Joe.
Yes, so we typically have met, it's been a while, admittedly, but we typically meet on the third Tuesday of the month. I'm hoping just tentatively if we could put that down as our meeting date for February. If we need to reschedule that, that's fine, but kind of given the budget and as Ms. Sanders said, she'd like to approve it in March. I would like for the department heads or just to give some sort of pre-presentation or where we are at that February meeting. So if we need to reschedule it, fine, but that was the agreement date. So it's that third Tuesday. I don't know exactly what that is, but if we could just go out there and then if we need to change, that's fine. But I like to plan on. I know we're supposed to discuss that at the board retreat, but we didn't have it. So my plan is to move forward with that. So if we need to change it, we'll make an announcement. But otherwise, tentatively, we're going to plan on having that meeting on that third Tuesday.
So trustee, just reality, it's not that we didn't have it. Bishop Porter's funeral.
Reschedule, okay, yeah, right. Oh, we did have it, that's all I'm saying.
So we're rescheduling the board retreat. So the board retreat that happens in February, we will talk about the budget. And then we go to the actual presentation to the public in March to make sure it's approved in April. So the board retreat that's being rescheduled for February is when we've been talking about the budget.
Okay, I'd like to also just promote.
Until we
Sure,
have,
we can talk about it more than once this.
until we have a board retreat, there's no committees to discuss. So we're talking about the committee.
What do you mean there's no committee?
Your position in the committee expired, you're 2 years, so we have not renewed and established who's gonna be on what committees. It has to be discussed of what the direction of the future is gonna be at the board retreat. So when we have the board retreat in February, we'll have that discussion. But per ordinance, your chairmanship of finance is done, because it's a 2-year. So you serve your 2 years, but the February board retreat with the entire board, we will discuss committees and finance. Okay. An agenda for TIF public hearing. I need a motion to suspend current board meeting and go into the agenda for TIF public hearing.
Motion? So moved.
Motion by Sanchez, second by Owsley. Please call the roll.
Trustee Williams,
Aye.
trustee Sanchez,
Aye.
trustee Jones,
Aye.
trustee Owsley,
Aye.
trustee Smiley,
Aye.
trustee Brandon,
Aye.
Mayor Booker.
Aye.
All right, so we are entering into the agenda for TIF public hearing at 7:37. I need a call to order and a roll call.
Trustee Williams,
Here.
trustee Sanchez,
Here.
trustee Jones,
Here.
trustee Owsley,
Here.
trustee Smiley,
Here.
trustee Brandon,
Here.
Mayor Booker.
Here. All right, so first order, we have a presentation from purchaser and developer, 30 Madison Street LLC.
Give me 1 moment. Get set up here. Boards, back.
So really,
You want the audience to
is
see?
the slide, is the? are the-
No, they don't match up perfect.
Okay. So I would say, show it to the board and face it. And each one, like, show it to the board and face it.
Is it possible to have someone from economic development or Michelle to present some context information regarding this proposal?
So I would say let's let, the first order is his presentation. So let's let him do the presentation.
Okay, that's just a normal process that normally someone from economic development from a traditional.
Economic development as a department doesn't exist anymore, trustee.
Economic sustainability, I mean, whatever the new name is for the department, normally Michelle is the business person,
So we're gonna move forward and watch the presentation from now. Yes.
Mayor Booker, trustees, Village of Maywood residents, and others. Good evening. My name is Jeff Eaton. I am the principal of Cooperative Solutions Group, a small business consulting firm that has worked with the investors on the Park at 30 Madison project. With me tonight, I also have Neil Thompson, who is the senior associate from ARIA Group, which are the architects for this project. Okay, so the Park at 30 Madison, yes.
So, point of correction. Attorney Mark is saying that we need to swear you in for your presentation, so we're gonna have Attorney Mark swear you in.
And anyone else who may decide they want to come. Just raise your right hand. Swear the testimony you're about to give is true.
I do.
I do. Thank
So the Park at 30 Madison aims to offer a dynamic and immersive golf experience that appeals to a diverse audience. With a strategic combination of cutting-edge technology, exceptional hospitality, and innovative marketing strategies, we are confident in our ability to establish a successful and sustainable business venture that will become a cornerstone of leisure and recreation in the village of Maywood. Our mission is to help revitalize the property, which has sat defunct for roughly 8 years, create a community economic catalyst through the golfing experience as well as live entertainment, to improve accessibility and inclusivity in golf so that more black and brown children are included in the sport, to also foster community engagement and bringing community onto the fields for more recreation and leisure activities, as well as creating employment opportunities in the community. Some of the challenges faced with this development specifically are taxes. This particular property back in 2010 ultimately went defunct because the taxes skyrocketed from about $15,000 in 2001 all the way up to $356,000 when they finally collapsed. A part of that problem in being able to pay those taxes is that this particular course is subject to seasonality, and that at one point this particular space had a dome but then lost that dome, so they were unable to operate in the colder months. Other challenges with this include the cost of improvements. Right now we are estimating that the total cost for building out this project as it stands is about $2.3 million. There was also challenges related to parking, which ultimately we scaled down the intended capacity for live entertainment events to meet those parking requirements. And then there's always the challenge that there may be an additional pandemic that might cripple the business. So we face all those challenges and try to come up with solutions to ensure that this is a economically viable opportunity for the long term. Again, part of our goals are to ensure that this particular business gives access and inclusivity to black and brown children who have typically been excluded from the game of golf, not just locally, but historically across the United States and across the world. We intend to have a community impact by reactivating the site, getting it back onto the tax rolls, implementing youth workforce development programs that are not just catering to jobs, but careers in the space. Also job creation, bringing the property back onto the tax rolls, as well as the retail taxes associated with the various revenue streams, as well as bringing positive awareness to the village through the events that we intend to host on the field. Our strategies in each of these areas where we had challenges with taxes, we intend to have a very diverse revenue stream. That revenue stream includes membership fees, golf fees, food, beverage, merchandise, as well as admissions for a ticketed event. To deal with the issue of seasonality, we are investing approximately $1.2 million into having the dome reinstalled over the space. That space still has a grade beam that was used for the previous dome. It was inspected by the company that installed the grade beam and the dome to ensure that it was still a viable grade beam, and that the dome was as an option, and it is. The improvement costs, what we've done to kind of tackle that barrier. Initially, this project was scheduled to be about $5 million. What we did was we reduced the scope and we reduced the phases. So now instead of building out a 4,800 square foot two-story building and expanding it to 18,000 square feet, we are actually going to leave it as it is currently, with just the renovations happening on the interior and exterior. With parking, we've identified the fact that we obviously have 50 parking spaces on site. We've also identified that the L stop at the CTA Blue Line, which is 1.25 miles away, has a paid public parking area to include for our guests, and we will provide a shuttle transportation. So when we have larger events and we have guests that are using that, they'll be able to transport back and forth via shuttle. And then last but not least, with pandemic planning, we have taken into consideration using domes and proper spacing, and obviously taking into account any measures that are implemented by the local, state, or federal governments. So the business structure of what we are doing is there is 30 Madison Street, Inc., which is the real estate company that ultimately will be purchasing the property. Then there is Bushwood Reimagined, which will actually be the restaurant food and beverage component of the business. And then there's the MAC Group, which is an outside third-party entity that will be focused on the entertainment side. And I will note that Bushwood Reimagined is also responsible for the golf operations side of things. That said, I'm going to have Neil give me a hand here. And I'm going to walk you through the plans and renderings from Arias Architects. The first is the exterior rendering, view number 1. This shows what the property will look like in warm weather. So that is from the west side of the building. We're going to go into exterior rendering number 2. This one is from the eastern viewpoint. It is the opposite side of the building, showing where the ADA compliant ramp and stairs to the facility are. This next foam board represents what the field should look like once all of the poles and netting is properly installed. Those poles and nettings are necessary because we don't want golf balls flying at 100 miles an hour into either parked cars on the village side or into the Des Plaines River, or for that matter, over into LRS's property. So those poles range anywhere from 75 feet high to 125 feet high, and they are solid steel anchored into the foundation of the property. This next one is a little bit challenging to read because it's so small, but this is an overall view of the entirety of the property and where the property lines exist. It also tells exactly where tree types are going in, the restriped parking, parking for food trucks when we do larger events, proposed area for portable restrooms when capacity is at 100. It shows specifically where the proposed zones are for 100 lounge chairs and up to 399 guests on the property, either with lawn chairs or blankets for larger events. It obviously shows where all the poles and nets are proposed to go in, as well as our proposed perimeter fencing. It also shows where our dome mechanical equipment locations are, which is exactly the same place that it was prior. And then where the existing driveway entrance and exit is, that will remain unchanged. We can actually skip that one. Oh no, I'm sorry. So on this one, there's a small nuance, and that is, instead of putting a large mobile stage out on the field and putting that type of weight onto the actual field itself, what we've done is designed a new deck, a new and improved deck that gives us 24 feet of width and 40 feet wingspan, so that we're able to actually produce shows up on the top of the deck so that people out in the field can see it using the natural incline of the space. This next board was actually produced by Katam, which is our restaurant supplier. They ultimately designed the upstairs level with our bathroom facilities and a beverage and service area, as well as our lower level with all of our kitchen equipment. Individually, there is an equipment list listed for all of these, but this is ultimately the layout of the interior of the space, the clubhouse itself. This next slide actually shows this shows the ground level T-line, which is basically where our guests actually stand to actually go up and hit. And the top portion of this shows the arc of the dome over the top of the roof as the upper level as well as the lower level of the deck. This deck is redesigned. The current deck is too large for our intended purposes. And so we're actually scaling this down from 18 bays down to 13 bays in order to make sure that the dome fits properly and that we're able to put in the technology needed to do ball returns and things of that nature during the operations of the field. This next foam board is basically the same thing. The only difference is the image at the bottom is the upper tee line, which is the upper deck where guests will hit from. And similar to places like Top Golf, it doesn't necessarily show it in the image, but there are safety nettings, very similar to the safety precautions that are in place to ensure that guests don't fall off the edge. These will be changed from what are currently chain link fence, which are not very safe, to actual safety netting that is intended for that specific purpose. And then this, I think it's the last one. This last foam board shows what the actual dome looks like when installed from the eastern viewpoint. And so this dome is intended to go in roughly October, November timeframe. It takes roughly 2 weeks to install. During that time, we actually shut down operations, and the team comes in to actually install this and inflate it to ensure that the grade beams are safe and that everything is working properly. And then that same dome comes down around May, April timeframe when the spring golfing season begins. All right. So to ensure that we are able to make this a sustainable business in Maywood specifically, there are a few things that we look at. One is demand. So there is tremendous amount of demand in the marketplace for technology-based golf practice. Right now, what we've seen in the market is that several ball in a bucket type golf ranges have actually shut down, and those that have remained have all shifted to technology-based operations because they're more efficient and they're obviously more financially lucrative. In addition to that, we know that there's additional demand and that most of the existing ranges do not have any type of winterization program, whereas we have a dome. Our only competitor is actually about 30 miles away, which would be Maywood and Bolingbrook. That is the only other range that is near us that actually has the ability to do indoor golfing out of the weather. And then obviously there's a huge demand for experiential entertainment, not just the golfing itself, but golfing as a competition or as a sport. And then there's a very low cost for what we're doing, in that the price for golfing can be as low as $5 per person per hour, with the average group or the average individual playing for about an hour and a half, which keeps the cost down to about, at its lowest, about $7.50 per person. The target audience that we're going after are typically social players, groups of friends, people celebrating a birthday, practice players, whether they are novice to avid players. We have definitely established some relationships, even in the city of Chicago, with golf clubs that have as many as 20,000 members, who, when the winter time comes around, they literally have no place to go unless they're doing more of the indoor facilities with screens. We also are catering to competitive players through challenges, leagues, and individual tournaments to keep the market moving. Part of our strategy to ensure that this happens is we are focused on cooperative ownership. So providing a means for members of the community in Maywood and at large to actually become small owners in the actual business. We are focused on community partnerships, like working with Parks and Recreation, as well as Maywood Park District and other youth organizations to bring more youth into the actual sport, especially with after-school programming to help keep some of our kids off the street and engaged, actively engaged. Digital marketing and a focus on data, and that as we collect data from our customers, we then use that data to engage them for birthdays and other types of celebrations. Our revenue streams are pretty diverse, as I said earlier. The way to be able to outrun taxes, if you will, is to be able to have more revenue streams. Those include food, beverage, the golf driving range fees and membership, live entertainment, merchandise. Advertising and sponsorship is also a big one, in that we will have roughly 52 televisions that we're able to use to especially promote businesses throughout Maywood. as well as hosting private events where there are rental fees where larger companies or larger parties can rent out the entirety of the space. We intend to execute this now, the adjustment from the previous plan into 3 phases. Phase 1 is RDA and closing. Hopefully that happens here in January 2026. Phase 2 would be the build out, again, tentatively happening between February and May, June of this year as well, with the last phase being the dome going in roughly November 2026. Our financials, so year 1, because this is somewhat of a partial year in that we have to get through development first, we expect revenues to be roughly around $6.5 million, with expenses being around $5.5 and a net profit of about $918,000. And then for year 2 and 3, which are both full years, they have different number of days, or excuse me, different number of weeks that we count the days for how the revenue is generated. And so they're going to range between 10.6 and 10.7 million in revenue, 8.6 million dollars in expenses, and 2.1 to 2.2 million dollars in EBITDA. Some of the other concerns that we've addressed in our plan include public safety, which includes providing the village with at least 30 days advance notice when we're doing events that will range up to 500 people, as well as talking to the village and Homeland Security about traffic control, hiring in American Investigative and Protective Services, which is a Maywood-based company, Mr. Jeremiah Brownlee, for crowd control, hiring private services for medical assistance, fire safety through the fire department as backups in the case of emergencies, as well as developing plans for active shooter and mass casualties with security, Homeland Security, as well as Maywood Police. That is the extent of our presentation. If there are any questions, I'm sorry, excuse me.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, so next we'll get an overview of redevelopment terms by the village attorney.
Sure, thank you. So yeah, when we have a selling of property in a TIF, as this is, we have to have a TIF public hearing and talk about a little bit about what the redevelopment terms are going to be. As previously discussed with the board some time ago, the sale price for this property to the developer is $150,000. Property, as you all know, has long-time environmental issues based on its previous use as a landfill. It has an existing clay cap that can't be penetrated, so it limits the areas on which you can build things to kind of where the existing infrastructure is. Property is sold as is to the developer. He's described the specified use, which is his golf driving range, live entertainment venue with food and beverages. Developer will need to secure any necessary zoning relief and show proof of financing in order to move forward with closing. As we do in all our development agreements, there's a deposit made by a developer for costs, and consistent with what we did recently for the Oddfellows building, there's going to be some amount held back in escrow to guarantee completion of the development, so that we can make sure that developers move forward to completion, because as we also do with these agreements, if they don't meet the timelines and just sit on the property or try to do something different with it than they promised, we have the ability to take that property back, and holding back that money will help us fund ensuring that property comes back to us if the developer does not follow through. Final plans will come back to this board for final approval. We're still working out the construction timing details, although that timeline was helpful. We're going to insert some of that into the draft redevelopment agreement that's in your packet. There are 3 incentives that the developer has asked the village for. $30,000 closing credit for security fencing of the property, $50,000 TIF grant, consistent with ones you've given to a number of businesses in the last year or two, and a resolution passed to support a Cook County Class 7A or 7B tax incentive. And so those are kind of the highlights of the draft RDA. There's still some issues to be worked through, but that's it for now. And with that, we can turn it over to staff to kind of fill in a few more details.
All right, any comments, recommendations from staff?
You said we could ask questions?
Staff, we have
coming.
staff.
Good evening. So we have been working with this developer, for the vision of this project. They have definitely provided all of the documents that were asked for from village staff. There's been quite a bit of review from discussions with the fire department. A lot of upfront work has gone in to the review for this proposed opportunity, which it seems like an amazing community asset to also bring visitors inside the village of Maywood. We're very excited to see this through. The proposed tax revenue over a 10-year period is about $1.6 million. As you know, there hasn't been any tax revenue collected in a long time. On top of that, there would be sales tax revenue associated with food and beverage, which is another plus. There's opportunities. Happy to answer any questions that anybody might have.
I have a question,
Wait,
Michelle.
we're just at comments and recommendations. Okay, what do we got? All right, thank you.
Two more quick items before we move to public comment. One, just wanted to make part of the record that notice of this hearing was published last week in the Sun-Times. We have a certificate of publication, which was made part of the record. And second, as part of a public hearing under the TIF Acts, it sounds kind of goofy, we are required to ask whether there are anyone here with alternative proposals that they wanted to bring forward tonight, other than what the developer has proposed. And that's really for members.
That's really for members.
Yeah, I'm aware of the process.
Okay.
Well, my concern was
Trustee, we're not at your discussion by village.
No, this was based on what he just stated. I'm talking about.
But still, from the presentation, can we just follow the agenda, trustee? It's the
I'm gonna-
presentation, it's the terms, it's the staff, it's public comment, then it's the board. So if you
Okay.
just write your comment.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Okay. Questions from the public? If anyone have any questions from the public, you could just come up and grab the mic.
The public comments?
Around the golf range only.
Okay.
And anyone who's going to ask, if I could just swear you in real quick.
Wait, John, she was up first, behind you.
What?
Ladies first.
I believe. You want to see?
No.
Why don't all three of the people propose to speak? Just raise your right hand real quick. Do you swear the testimony and statements you're about to give on this matter are the truth?
Yes.
All right, go ahead.
I have wrote down a couple of questions for you. Most of them you answered, but the last one was a little confusing. You said that speaking to the attorney, that the property was $150,000, but it's gonna be something like $80,000 in gifts or something to incentives?
Yeah, so they're asking for certain incentives, correct?
So they're only paying $100,000 for the property?
70.
Yeah, 150, and then you back out. They're asking for a closing credit, and they're asking for a $50,000 TIF grant. So the TIF grant is something that gets separately approved going forward. Class 7A or 7B tax incentive is something given by Cook County, but yeah, if you look at that way, there's a $150,000 purchase price, and then certain things are subtracted from that.
So you're not doing it. Anyway, how much was the taxes on the property?
So when the new property comes in, about to be assessed, there hasn't been any taxes collected in 16 years.
So they're gonna have to pay an arrearage?
No.
No?
Yeah. If you can ask your questions, then once everybody asks their questions, then I'll go over it.
Okay.
Okay.
Also, I had contacted the Illinois Golf Association, but I didn't follow up on it. So it's a real good idea. I'm enjoying what I'm listening and seeing here, and I hope you can bring it to pass the way that you have presented. And I look forward to working. Are there going to be any other community meetings about this, where you can get the community involved and let them know what's available and what's going on?
Thank you.
My name is Claudia Vandenberg, and a few questions. Nina asked a lot of the good questions that I had as far as the financials behind it. A couple of questions I have as far as the tax responsibilities and the actual contract. Is the contract, sorry, kind of for the attorney specifically, is the contract that you guys are negotiating, when will it be available to the public for our review? Because I know that this is kind of really abrupt, last minute, and a lot of things haven't been necessarily discussed, as far as the use of our TIF dollars and all of those different things. So I'm wondering, like I said, when will we as the public actually get to view the contract to see what potentially you're entering into? Specifically, and I'm just going to say this last thing, specifically because a lot of the deals that have been done using our TIF dollars have not ended in our favor. There have been a lot of, how should I say, suspect verbiage in the contract that ultimately has left us as taxpayers on the bag or on the hook for it. So that's one of my concerns. When will we be able to actually see the contract and the agreement and what the village is actually entering into, to make sure that there aren't any clauses that's going to cause us to be held financially liable if these deals do not work out. And then the last thing, I know looking at the players, that some of the players involved in this project have had their hands in a lot of dealings with the village, from the RFP programs to a lot of different things. So I have a lot of questions about that. But for right now, my main concern is the contract.
Thank you. Booker?
You gonna give me a copy of the first thing I want to ask is,
Name?
oh, I'm sorry, so sorry. Hi. I'm Deborah from the Maywood resident.
And did you get sworn in?
I raised my hand while I was sitting. Perfect. All right, actually my first question is for you. I did not hear from back there. What was printed in the Sun Times and when?
Gotcha. So I asked each one of the
Okay,
questions.
so that was the first question. What was that was printed in the Sun Times and when? The second relates to data. I guess it comes from the gentlemen that are making the proposal. What percentage, have they done any studies to determine what percentage of the citizenry in the local area actually would take advantage of this? I mean, where are the customers coming from, I guess is basically what I'm asking. Where are the customers coming from? And I think the idea of getting kids involved is excellent. I'm not quite sure how that is going to work. What else did I have to ask? The question about the TIF was already answered. Oh, events. How much focus is going to be on events? What input will the village have on the number of events? I know the size of the events is going to be dictated by the actual space, so that's not necessarily an issue. I guess, is it going to be an event space or is it going to be a golf space is basically what I'm trying to ask. Sorry. I guess I'll have to leave it there because I can't read my own notes. So I'll leave it there because most of the questions are on this. Thank you.
Thank you. John?
One more.
Wait, together.
It's hard to get up and down.
swear the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth?
Yeah. First name, I don't think I might say
Name.
it's working. Peggy Alexander, I haven't heard anything you guys have said. I hear you thumping, but while you're talking like you're in a personal conversation, and I hope I'm not the only one that couldn't hear most of it, but I couldn't hear most of it. Okay? Second, love it, but my concern is safety, and we have an extensive EAP, environmental, EPA, okay, thank you, EPA program with, about that land. That land is what that dump was to Hillside. It's what Argo is, that smell, and I would hate for 500 these big events to shift something. I would hope that everyone or someone would see if this organization have done a program as large as this. We was talking about millions of dollars and not so much money on the income, $5 an hour, but millions of dollars to get it done. I don't know if, I haven't done the math, but I would love to see the math on the gifts, the process, the monies that we're going to take in. I know it's all projection, but it seems like Maywood is going to put in a lot of money, and we would like to know exactly how much that is. I would like to know other projects that they've done to this magnitude, because this is a lot of money for us to be stuck with. So if someone could answer those questions, I would appreciate it. Did we contact EPA? They said 500 people ain't gonna start Maywood stinking.
You gotta get to Johnson, I get to, I'm gonna
Okay.
go through it all together.
All right. Only you know the answer? Nobody else up here knows the answer? I'm asking.
We're doing public comment now.
Yes,
So
I'm
I'm taking
asking.
down everything. So
Are
we're
you
not,
gonna answer
we're
that
not going back to
question?
people
Only
answer the
you
question?
know the
No.
answer.
So the attorney's gonna answer
Thank
questions. Jeff is gonna answer questions. It's just.
God knows the answer.
Okay, let me hear.
And Booker.
Nobody up there know.
Please, I only got 2 minutes and a half. First of all, I want to thank Booker for another successful year. I wanted to tell his mama I said hello, because her and I made phone calls on Saturday mornings. And he took his grandma to the mayor's opening for her office, and they put in the paper, Booker has a date. It was his grandma. My son took Southeastern 12 and under golf tournament, and this is an excellent idea. And you know what, they did say that the EPA would make you do a cement blanket over the land there. Just like gas stations, they have to have it cleaned up before they can do other business. I would like to go, it's just about this, nothing else?
Nothing else.
Okay, I talked to her about your appointment tomorrow, okay?
Okay.
Have a good day, God bless you.
All right, John.
And I still want a job, I helped you out. I'm only 71, I have a law degree, CPA, real estate program.
Behind the door, John.
All right.
And we're gonna say, Kim, welcome Kim to the family.
Thank you, John.
You're welcome.
Okay. All right, so Ms. Westbrook, you were saying the 150 versus the 80,000 in incentives. So the property actually appraised for $155,000. So it's not like they're lowballing or asking for a free building. The $50,000 in business improvement program funding is the same $50,000 that anybody who's investing this much money into a project would be eligible for. So really the only extra thing that has been asked for, which is technically something that the village should have done when we acquired the building, is to put up the safety fence, which is the $30,000. So the business improvement programs, any business can apply for it in the TIF. So that's not anything special. The fence along the waterfront, which technically when we took ownership of the property, we should have put up, that's really the only $30,000 ask. So when I say, when we talk about 150 versus 80,000, please remember, in the presentation, $28 million in sales in over 3 years. When you think about $20 million in sales in over 3 years, that's new sales tax that we have not gotten for this location in 16 years. Because it's been closed for 16 years. When we talk about the presentation that you heard from community development, or economic innovation and sustainability from our business manager, $1.6 million in tax revenue over 10 years, which we've gotten zero for the last 16 years. Then you said, will there be another meeting where we talk about this? So the community meeting for Moving Maywood Forward Together workshop is January 24th. The flyer's right up front from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. right across the street at the 200 building. So that'll be talked about more. And then once the final agreement comes into play, it'll be talked about more. Ms. Vendor, you said when would the public see the RDA packet? That would be when we're ready to vote on the final agreement. So you would get a notice and it would be on the packet. And then you said, when was the Sun Times notice of the actual certificate of publication was done on January 7th, 2026. So
what was
week.
published though? What was it that was published January 7th?
Yeah, we have a notice of a TIF hearing.
Yeah, notice of public hearing to consider a proposed redevelopment agreement.
So that's this meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
When you said who's going to come to it, so as you saw in the presentation, there is no venue like this in a 30-mile radius that they're proposing. Realistically, I think that a good chunk of this room has been to Ravinia for outdoor concerts, so there is no outdoor concert space or like that in the Cook County Western.
So this would be
right?
comparable to
So
Ravinia.
this would be, we ain't got that much land.
Oh, okay.
But the only outdoor space type venue like that. So thinking about the tourism dollars that comes into the village of Maywood, not just for the venue, but overall the businesses that we're opening, would be the thought process of who's coming. Yes, we want local to come, but we also want outdoor patrons to come in for the tourism dollars and the sales tax dollars. John, you spoke?
John, the tweeter dog. The tweeter dog.
Thank you, John. Okay. So to answer your other question, it would be both golf and entertainment. And then Ms. Alexander, you said the safety with EPA. So with the safety and EPA, this process that we actually voted to agree to the letter of intent started back in April of 2024. So over that time, they had to go through an extensive EPA wait and reassessment of all of the clay cap. The clay cap had to be making sure it hadn't shifted, making sure it hadn't cracked. Some of the considerations of the reduction in the size that they initially wanted was in regards to making sure the public safety. They did have to do different things with EPA in regards to like traffic surveys, parking surveys, different redesigns. There was the review with safety, and then with legal and staff. So again, there has been an extensive amount of work to get this to where we are today, because this is something that we voted to move on and have staff and the team to work with to get this done back in May of 2024. So we are just now in January of 2026 looking to approve it because there was so much safety precautions and measurements put in place to get certain things done, such as traffic, such as safety, such as the EPA guidance to make sure. One of the reasons they wanted to put different buildings in different places. You can't build on certain areas. So those renderings had to be changed up and redone. So we are literally looking at an almost 2-year experience that we're presenting right now that has taken time because of the safety precautions and the other precautions that they had to go through. John, thank you. But Jeff, would you like to say anything in regards to anything that was said in public comment? I'm sorry, Jeff.
So the specific question was asked, are there any other projects that we've done similar to this? So the investor behind this project already has $1.3 million invested in the community in an existing business that was also a defunct space in the village of Maywood that is also now generating real estate taxes and retail taxes. This is a slightly elevated budget over what he initially spent going into his initial project. But in terms of the gaming aspect, the entertainment aspect of it, I was a critical part of, for example, bringing Summer Jam to Maywood with 7,000-8,000 participants. I've been doing events since 1994, ranging from as small as 300 people to as large as 60,000 people for 2004 Super Bowl kickoff concert in San Diego, California. So I've done events small to large. So being able to do events on a space like this, which is 7 acres, 7 acres can hold substantially more than 500 people. And so what we've done is limited the capacity to under 500 people so that we are making sure that we are within the safety guidelines and precautions and are concerned with the traffic and noise and lights and all the things that go along with building out a program like this. And over time, as we show responsibility, we'll ultimately attempt to scale that up. So that was.
When I was asking, did I hear $5 million? Did I hear $5 million someplace?
What's the
total?
That's
projected.
Oh, the projected investment?
Initially, when we came into this project, it was going to be closer to $5 to $6 million to redevelop the entire space with the expansion of the existing clubhouse, which is about 4,600 square feet. We took that out of the program and just limited the scope to the existing 4,600 square feet and just renovating that space instead of making the clubhouse larger.
So the total cost of the project is going to be what?
As it currently is with phase 1, 2, and 3, roughly about $2.3 million, of which 200,000 of that has already been spent just in planning. So consulting fees, ARIA architects, structural engineers, environmental engineers, you name it, 200,000 has already been spent. There's another roughly $2.1 million to be spent from here.
So my original question was, have you had a project of this magnitude as far as cost?
Yes, and my answer to that was Mr. Greg Walker has a $1.3 million property that he built in Maywood on a defunct site that is Casa de Puro Cigar Lounge. So this is slightly more than that, but it's basically the same principles. It's actually slightly easier because we're not building from the ground up. We're not kind of recreating things. We're really just going in and, for example, the turf that's out there, we're just tearing it out and putting brand new turf in. The poles that are out there, we're just putting in additional poles to make sure that it's completely safe in the netting. Those have been there prior. The dome that's going in, again, when I first started looking for dome manufacturers, the very first dome manufacturer I called just so happened to be the dome manufacturer that put the initial dome in. So that's their grade beam, and so we don't really have a lot of new work to do. Most of the new work is actually inside the building, which is based on the fact that you've had people go into the building and take out copper lines and fiber optic lines and things of that nature. So that's really where the real work has to go in. But yes, we've done this.
And your crowd is not going to damage or shake or the dump underneath?
No. So that particular space, one of the things, I'll give you an anecdote of what we went through. One of the things that we went through with the engineering firm was that at the end of the day, that space has had heavy machinery on it that weighs upwards of 20 to 25 tons. There's not 500 people that can weigh that much weight, and that's 20 to 25 tons in one space. This is 500 people spread out over 7 acres potentially. So there's no issues with that. The other thing I wanted to talk about too, I think it was your point about the smell. The smell does not come from the actual golf range. So the history of it is this. Hillside, it does not. So Hillside actually took all the trash and they used to burn it, right? If you remember the stack that used to have the flames, they would burn all that trash, and then ashes from that would come over to this dump site and then be laid down at this dump site, and there was a clay cap put over that. So with all of the villages' reports and the reports that we've got, that is a non-volatile contaminant, meaning there is no smell, there's nothing to it, there's no decomposition, it's as decomposed as it's gonna get. There's no safety issues regarding it because there is a 3-foot clay cap on it. The reason that clay cap sits on it is just to make sure that that ash isn't all over the community. When you talk about the smell that comes into Maywood over the summertime, that is actually resulting from having a garbage waste facility behind the transfer station, excuse me. That transfer station sits directly behind the property. That's where that smell actually emanates from. It's not actually from the range.
So that's what I was mentioning about you having layers to preserve the area.
Yes, but it's not
when
concrete,
you
it's
left San
clay.
Diego, did you have anything to do with Jam Productions?
No.
How about Snoop Dogg, D.O.G.
John.
Ice Cube?
Actually, my question is
So we have a clarifying question in the back.
so, this space was to some degree paralleled or compared with Ravinia. So my question is, in terms of the event, what caliber of entertainment are you bringing in? What type of artists? What exactly do you envision in terms of those kinds of events happening in the community?
Sure, I'll actually read them off to you. So when we did our initial presentation back in April of 2024, that we added into here the programming that we were looking at. One second.
There was Snoop Dogg, Ice Cube?
No Snoop Dogg, no Ice Cube.
I'm still back here, John. So the reason I
Okay,
ask
so-
is because the caliber of the entertainment is going to dictate the caliber and type of crowd. That's what I'm trying to come from. So I'm just going to put it out there. I want to know.
Absolutely, I get it. So I'll be blunt with you. I don't deal with that audience, right? When I was a younger promoter and was 20-something years old and could stomach that stuff, I did. I'm 51 years old. I don't have any stomach for that. I don't think the investor has any stomach for
It
that.
has nothing to do
So
with
we don't
stomach.
cater.
It has to do with money.
I'm sorry?
I said it doesn't have anything to do with personal taste. It has to do with money. And
No,
I
it
know
does, because he's spending his money, I'm spending my time and effort and money, and we don't want to invest in something, either time or money, into something that's not going to last. That's just not.
Yeah, but the crowd for Maywood Fest was substantially larger than it's ever been, and it was definitely a different type of crowd
I'm sorry. It was substantially larger and what?
than we've ever had in the past, and it was also a different type of crowd. Typically, Maywood Fest is family oriented. You see more families and young children, not as many teens and young adults, and so there was a big flip flop. So that's what I'm trying to find out.
Okay. So the size is a non-issue because we're talking about 500 people, not 8,000.
Yeah.
The type of person, I don't know that there was a type of person there that was necessarily
I'm
problematic.
talking age group. I'm not talking about type of person. I'm talking about target age group.
So age groups. Your age groups ran from kids all the way to 96 years old. We can do the exact same thing on the golf range, right? Our intention is to actually work with youth community organizations to bring the youth out to learn the game of golf, not just to learn it, but to also compete in it, right? To do practices and things of that
I don't
nature.
think I'm making myself.
You are very clear. I just got to finish what
No,
I'm saying so I can
okay.
get to it. That's all.
Okay.
So in terms of entertainment, I will read off to you exactly what the entertainment will look like. Hip Hop Over Everything, which is Q Billa and his hip hop band performing 90s and 2000 hip hop covers. That is a 35 and older audience. Red Cup Karaoke, which is a monthly karaoke event with celebrity guests, again is a 35 and older, predominantly black audience. Versus, which is the Opal Staples Orchestra, performs covers highlighting the music of two of R&B's most iconic artists with special guests monthly. Her orchestra typically caters to a 45 to 64 type demographic. And then Comedy Under Stars. So comedians, actors, podcast hosts, and commentator Pierre Edwards, who's a personal friend of mine. He will host a night of comedy featuring local, regional, and national comedians. That night is going to also skew roughly about 35 and over. So we are not necessarily targeting a 21 to 34-year-old demographic, although we can't discriminate based on age. And so those old souls that fit, they are more than welcome, but we are not specifically
Yeah, but it's
targeting
also
a
going to
younger.
influence your need for the type of crowd that's going to determine the need for security, and security issues will be enhanced depending on who the artist is and what type of crowd and the age group it draws.
I'm quite familiar. I've been doing this since 1994.
Yeah, but
So,
I haven't.
I understand. So my answer to that is you're absolutely right, which is why this programming skews towards an older demographic, because we're not interested in all the volatility related necessarily to younger audiences. And that's not necessarily all people in a younger demographic, but we clearly know that that's where a lot of our issues are.
And you all serve alcohol too, along with food?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Would love to see the math. Someone said they'd love to see the math. I can give you the math. While I did say that $5 an hour is a price point, that is $5 per person at its lowest, which comes out to about $7.50 per person. But again, we have multiple streams of revenue related to this. And so what I'll do is kind of give you kind of a higher level overview of some of these numbers, just so that you can. So if you notice on this, it says golfers in yellow. So literally 15% of our bays are used, which means at any given time from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m., we have about 36 people using our bays. That's a reasonable number given that a lot of avid golfers, especially older golfers, come out early in the morning from 8 to about noon or so. So the revenue generated from that, from membership fees, as well as you can see appetizers, entrees, sides, desserts, and things of that nature. And so we go through and look at every single line in terms of, where is revenue generated. So in particular, for this one, juice will generate $32 in revenue. Non-alcoholic sodas and mocktails, another $31 to $22. So our numbers add up pretty quickly because there's small amounts of money with small pockets of people during the week. And then those numbers increase exponentially to the point where on a Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night, which is when most social golfers come out to play. And when I say social golfer, I mean groups of 4 or 6, ladies' night, somebody celebrating a birthday. That's when those larger groups come out. And when I say larger, they don't exceed 6 people in any individual bay. But that's when those numbers increase because there's a 1.5 hour turn. And so unlike most restaurants where you might go in and you can sit down, let's say at a McDonald's for 3 hours and sip on a 99-cent coffee, here we turn over the spaces multiple times in a night. Typically on a daily basis, our goal is to turn over that space at least 16 times. So 16 times, 26 bays, each of those bays having 6 people, we're talking about 156 people a day at a minimum. And that's not even starting to count what we look at when we talk about there is no golf program that's being supported through Oak Park, Proviso East, Proviso West, anything in Hillside. They don't have those programs anymore because there's no facilities for them. So we are identifying means and methods to get grant money to actually offset the cost of golfing and teaching golf instruction and snacks and things of that nature after school. And in so doing that, obviously we would try to help with things that we've noticed earlier, like kids hanging around behind a gas station right across the street from a school. We can try to reduce some of that by bringing those kids over onto a space where they can do things a little bit more productively. Yeah.
And this is a question. Majority of businesses give a discount to military. Would you be considering that?
Given that I am an 11 Bravo Charlie 2 and 35 Delta military intelligence officer, I absolutely will. Thanks for your support.
I'm a jarhead.
I won't hold that against you.
And the second thing is, would you be willing to consider the local high schools using your facility for their home tournaments? Because like Riverside Brookfield has to go to the country club to play.
Absolutely, but we would love some of that country club money too. Absolutely.
I'm a 71-year-old bogey golfer. And my son couldn't afford San Diego to Hollywood, Marine, had to move back to Chicago.
Gotcha. Yes, ma'am.
I have one more question.
Sure.
You pointed to a gentleman, you said him, but who is him? Is he part of your project or?
So I'm a consultant on this project. That's the very first slide, right? I'm just a consultant on this project. The client is sitting right here.
Okay, who is he? I don't know him.
Greg Walker.
Okay, who's Greg Walker?
Okay. Thank you.
You don't want to say no?
All right. So next We finished questions from the public, so questions and discussion from the village board members.
Mayor.
Trustee Grant.
Yeah, I just want to start off by saying that I don't oppose selling the property at 30 Madison Street. But what I object is to bypassing the process, right? And so this village board had a conversation as it relates to 30 Madison back in 2004. It was the last time we had heard about this project since then. 2024, right. And so we're in 2026 now. And so we're talking about, we haven't heard anything as it relates to this development until really today. And so when you talk about, when you look at the time frame, the development itself was outside of its any ordinary time frame that any developer would have to come and develop anything within the village. The normal process would have been for a developer to come to the village board to ask for an extension based on whatever factors that particular business or developer may be facing. And so just to provide the community with some context, because I heard, well, we've been sitting on this property for 16 years. And so I want us to lead with the truth and lead with clarity. The reason why we were sitting on this property, because when we acquired this property from the Cook County Land Bank, it was stated from the Cook County Land Bank that the village could not sell 30 Madison because of how we acquired the property. And when we acquired the property from the Cook County Land Bank, they cleared it of all its back old taxes. I think it was over $1 million and something in taxes that was owed on this particular property. So at that particular time, the Cook County Land Bank told the village that we could not sell the property, that we had to utilize the property for municipal purposes. And so then, I don't know, there was a loophole that was found in 2024, and we found out that we could sell it, right? And so we had someone at the table interested in purchasing the property, and presented numbers, and that was all that we had heard as it relates to this particular property. And so what concerns me is, and I don't know if it's a staff issue or internal issue in the village of Maywood. I know we got the manager is out. You said we don't have an economic development department, but we most certainly have some type of economic development presence of how we are conducting business in the village of Maywood. And the attorney, when I spoke to him this evening, and I asked him, well, normally the board has to vote on a redevelopment agreement. Like, I know some of us, or some folks may be new, but I've been here long enough to know how a redevelopment agreement gets on the agenda. Normally this board, who governs things from a legislative perspective, has to give authority and direction to the village attorney to draft an agreement. But tonight we have an agreement on something that we only talked about in 2024 and haven't heard anything since as it relates to this project. And I want to repeat again to make sure that I'm clear. I'm not opposed to selling this property, but it's just a process to me that we are operating in is out of whack and it's out of order. For a sitting board member to learn just a few days ago that we didn't establish a redevelopment agreement, we just zooming this thing through and it's giving microwave and it's giving some other things as well. And so some of the steps that would normally happen when you have folks who are coming back to the table, and then I know we said, well, they've been at the table before. Well, it's actually really been presented as a new project because we haven't heard anything from this developer since 2024. They would go before the Planning and Zoning Commission to properly net and vet this project, and then we would get feedback from them. When I'm listening to the attorney that said, well, this was placed in a newspaper for people to respond.
January 7th.
Is that even, it's given backdoors what's given, to be honest. To say that it was placed in the newspaper January 7th,
on something that this board did not give direction to anybody. I've attended every board meeting, haven't missed a board meeting. We didn't give direction to anybody to move forward with anything as pertains to a redevelopment agreement. And then the attorney says to me this evening, well, Mr. Jeff Eden said that everybody was on board with the project. Out of order again. Out of order. Just out of order. And I don't know if it's because Franklin, I don't know, but to me, across the board, what it appears is there is an internal issue within the village of Maywood, and there's a misunderstanding of how this government works. And we are operating in a government that is not our current form of government. And it's out of order. It's simply just out of order. And so again, what I would have liked to see is some transparency. What we should have done is taken this property, because it's a public asset, and had an RFP process so that everybody can know that the village of Maywood is interested in selling this property, and to give everybody a clear shot and a clear chance at bringing forth a proposal. We don't even know if we're receiving the best proposal for it, because we didn't do, or staff didn't do, because I'm a legislator and staff is supposed to be competent enough to be able to know what to do as it relates to public assets. There should have been an RFP process, and we were selling the property to put out to the whole community that the property was for sale, right? And then this should have gone through the Planning and Zoning Committee and a whole lot of other steps that I just thought that they just are bypassing. And again, I want to be very clear and transparent. It's given microwave, it's given backdoor, and it's given all type of other situations as it relates to this development. And again, I have no problem with selling the property, getting the property back to tax roll, but let's do it the right way. Let's not rush it through. An attorney telling us that this was put in the newspaper on January the 7th, and the board was not involved in this conversation at all. And I even, the mayor, I know you talk about doing your due diligence, contacting people. Oh, I contacted people. I contacted the acting village manager in regard to this matter to get a clear understanding of who authorized the attorney to put this on the agenda without this board and give a clear direction to staff or the attorney to move forward with it. So those are my concerns, and that's why I'm highly concerned about this project. I just think, nothing against the developers, nothing against the presentation, none of that. I'm just talking about the process. The process is totally off, and it's unfair to others who may have wanted to come before this board to present other options. And it's unfair to the citizens of the village of Maywood as it relates to us being good stewards over their resources as well. And so for me, those are some of my concerns. It's given rush. It's given, and I feel very uncomfortable about it because of those reasons as well. And there are some people who've been on this board, this dais, who know what the process is. And an attorney knows what the process is as well. And I don't believe it was followed, was bypassed, and to tell this community and this board that on January 7th we put a notice in the newspaper. We haven't talked about this since 2024. That's unacceptable. Unacceptable.
And I wish you all could see your faces. I wish you could see your faces.
Nope. One moment. Point of clarity. Trustee is given, you really are not in line with what you're saying.
No, I'm not.
Trustee, I'll let you rant.
I'm alive.
So please allow me to speak.
Just allow me, because I'm lying.
Okay. Well, I'm going to inform you of what happened.
Okay.
Right? So I'll
I should have been informed.
I'll remind you that what you were present for.
I should have
Trustee,
been
I do not interrupt you no matter how long
Go
you
ahead.
go.
Just allow
No
me.
matter how long you go.
Go ahead.
I'm going to remind you. Not lying on you, just reminding you.
Yep.
So the letter of intent came in April of 2024. May of 2024, we received a 105-page document of the appraisal of the property. This board authorized staff and legal in closed session for purpose of purchasing a property to move forward to put together an RDA. It is not staff's nor this developer's part. Do you think the developer wanted to wait 21 months to get to this point? He does not control the federal EPA. He does not control traffic studies. But if the EPA takes 6 months, the EPA takes 6 months. If the traffic study takes 3 to 4 months, they take 3 to 4 months. If architectural renderings and redrawings, because of safety meetings and because of staff meetings and different things have to be redone, I can't think of a single, realistically, his goal was to be open last summer. So for you to sit there and say, we've had board retreats, and we had 21 months of board meetings, not once did you ever say, although you knew, we voted on the letter of intent, we voted to sell the property, did you ever say, where are we at with the golf range?
Sure, that's not our responsibility. That's staff's responsibility.
Trustee, if you give me a moment, I didn't interrupt you.
Don't switch it up.
You talk.
Sir, will you be quiet? He never interrupts you. And if you can't do what I've done there.
John,
Police, put him out of here.
I got this. I got this. Thank you, John.
You put the black man out, put the white man out.
I think for me it becomes. Can we get back to, I think for me it becomes a situation of, you knew fully well we had agreed to sell the golf range. You knew fully well we were in a redevelopment agreement. You are sitting here in front of a current business owner that has invested $1.3 million already in another property, reactivated taxes on an already blighted property, already have spent his own $200,000 worth of money in pre-development planning because he had to go through so many processes and channels because it is an EPA situation, because it has been a blighted space for 16 years. Nobody in the world that is a potential owner of a property wants to wait 21 months to get it. So for you to sit there and act like this is a staff problem is insulting to staff. For you to say because Frank isn't here is insulting to the acting village manager and staff. For you to sit there and say process, the process of this board is policy and vote. So per policy, an LOI was given, an agreement was done to sell per this board. So the policy means it comes back before this board when it's actually ready to execute, because we give the board and we give staff and legal their jobs that they get paid for. When you say, mind the form of government we're in, you vote to have staff do their job, you vote to have legal do their job. And that's what they're presenting to us today. If at any point in time, at any board meeting, any board retreat, anything, because there have been community meetings where updates of this have been given, you just don't attend them. So at the end of the day, realistically, this is not because of the owner. This is not because of staff. This is because it is a 16-year-old golf range built over an old trash compactor that had to go through different channels of approvals, processes, and revisions. We cannot blame that on the owners. We cannot blame that on staff. Because as soon as the owner was able to get everything they needed, rest assured they gave it to staff. But then it still had to go through all of the legal vetting and all the legal processing because of everything that entails this specific property. So to say a process wasn't followed, we voted, they worked, they're presenting, it's time for us to vote again. So since you said you don't have a problem with selling it, that's great to hear. Let's vote to sell it.
Mayor.
Trustee Jones.
So a couple administrative questions, and I want to talk about the viability of this project. So I guess to the point as far as public input, I heard you mention about there was some lead time between 2024 and now, but the Planning and Zoning Board of Appeals would be a good public input. It is a citizen-led committee that this is right up their alley. Talk about public use. Prior to this, it was on the county land bank, and it was a public asset. So in terms of any special permit, I do believe what I've heard that was a staff recommendation. So if that is a staff recommendation, and if you are willing, I think that would be a good pit stop for them to look at. You mentioned the dome, you mentioned the parking, or that there's going to be trees implanted, etc., variants, etc. I think that would be a good stop for the Planning and Zoning Board of Appeals, which is a stop point between the village board and the last time we formally discussed this, because the project has, as you mentioned, has scaled down. So this is a new project essentially. So that's one thing. So I would like to know if Jeff is willing. I know this would move the timetables back, but I mean, at the end of the day, I think we talk about public input though. I mean, at the end of the day, we have that right. So, and our staff, right? So within that 21 months, why haven't you all went to Planning and Zoning Board of Appeals within that 21 months? If that's the case, if we had all this time, why have they not gone to that point? And I do actually recall I've either heard it through passing or whatever that staff did recommend that at some point. So I don't see why we're skipping that. They should. And so whether that takes another month or so, I mean, we're not about to break ground now. The first phase is still, it was RDA and something else through January. So, I mean, the Planning and Zoning Committee can meet next month. So this isn't going to push it back that far. But I do think in terms of citizen input by people that were appointed to do that role about land usage is one thing. Two, we've kind of, so that was the one part about administrative part. So Planning and Zoning Board of Appeals. I do believe that'd be my recommendation from the board is that we should get a recommendation from that committee about this project formally in writing. So that's one thing. From a legal entity perspective, I was kind of Googling some of these, not Googling, but business entity search with some of these entities that you mentioned. There's about 3 of them. A few of them I couldn't find, so I would want to confirm that these are actually, that the status of these entities are valid and that they're, able to operate in Illinois. So I want to make sure that that's accurate. I mean, that's up to date, including Cooperative Solutions Group. Just want to make sure that that's squared away. The other thing is, I'm wondering if, also from an administrative perspective, you did mention your role within the Maywood Fest. So I'm wondering at any point, in terms of your connection with Healthy Maywood, the not-for-profit, has this ever been a project related to that entity? I was under the impression that part of that role was about property, about brokering, if you will, property. So I'm wondering if there's any synergies or any connections between what you were doing in that capacity and has it transitioned at all to this capacity. So that's from the administrative side. So Planning and Zoning Board of Appeals, I'd like to hear about that in that administrative part. So as far as the business scaling part is in general, I'd be kind of curious. You mentioned the space in, I think it was Bowling, or the business, I think it was Bolingbrook, maybe it was another community. Or top, I'm sorry?
Ravinia?
Oh, Ravinia, or not even Ravinia, it was like another golf entity. Yes, Spencerville. Top Golf. I don't want to know what their numbers are and comparing it to these projections. So how comparable are those? So, I mean, like, just so we can figure out how reasonable that is. The other thing, too, let me go to my notes. My apologies. So it looks like the remediation thing has been addressed. It seems like the only thing you can't do, it seems like, it almost seems like this isn't a big deal other than you just can't dig on the ground because you put a X amount of ton thing on it. So I don't know if that's just been overhyped in the past or just that you're saying you can't dig. But I am curious if you are going to put those poles up, are they all existing poles or are you going to have to re-drill any of those? And then how deep are you going to have to go? And would that aggravate any of that soil? So going back to the parking part. What's the capacity of the parking? And I noticed you mentioned CTA shuttle. Is that connected to the pace? Because CTA wouldn't come, or I guess I'm kind of curious what the parking is going to be. What's the capacity, and how does that translate into what the capacity would be in terms of the space? How many cars that would be? That's an awkward turn right there, as far as if you're heading west on Madison Street and trying to make that left. So I know that traffic part is in there, but again, that's something that I would want some sort of traffic committee or planning or somebody to look into. And then the other part would be the technology-based golf practice. Are there any proprietary licensing concerns there. So would you have to come up with your own? Is that a part of the budget? Would you have to come up with your own technology? Does Topgolf have that, license or whatever? I guess I'm curious what our approach would be with that. But again, am I open to selling the property? Of course, but I want it to be viable. And I do think, although I'm not for just expediting it just to expedite it, I do understand, especially our community is very vulnerable to wanting to get things done, especially development. So if skipping a step means getting it done, then I understand that, but we have to make sure we are doing our due diligence. And not just the board, but also the citizenry as well. So that's where I think the Planning and Zoning Board of Appeals will be a good opportunity for them to also see this and weigh in, because they have an expertise that we don't have, and I'd like to hear their input, and that also be a good opportunity for some of the other detailed questions to come out. So I'm sure the mayor will chime in, but I did mention your willingness to go to the Planning and Zoning Board of Appeals to present this. I do know that was a staff recommendation. I do know that. So if that was the case, are you willing to do that? I don't think it pushed back the timetable other than maybe a month or so to February. And I don't think we're breaking ground, so it really isn't pushing back the timetable really at all. You can still be doing that stuff behind the scenes. Yep, that is it.
Okay, Mayor, thank you. Wait a minute. Trustee, if you look at page 3 of the RDA, the developer shall file an application and all required supporting documents requesting the village approval and assurance of all special use permit for both indoor and outdoor recreation, live entertainment, uses prior to closing on the subject property, as well as any other zoning relief found to be necessary. All such zoning relief must be sought by developer and approved prior to closing. Compliance by developer with any other pre-closing conditions specified herein as required. So here's the reality. We are agreeing to an RDA agreement. They aren't going into closing tomorrow. It still has to go through a process with staff to get to closing. To sit there and watch a business that wanted to be open last summer and say, another 30 days of no revenue won't kill you. It's not right. And I go back to this process and I say this every time. Every time we come to something of revenue generating for businesses, people are watching these meetings. These types of questions, these types of things could have been asked over the last 21 months. So my reality becomes, they're going to go through the proper channels to get to closing. Today we are asking, are we okay with the redevelopment agreement? But Jeff, if you would be so kind as to come and say what you've been doing over the last 21 months and how 30 days will impact opening.
Is this business not viable within 4? So this is pushed back 30 days and this project not be done?
It'll cost $3 million.
Oh, well. That puts us in a very awkward situation, right? It's like also, let's just say yes to this right now.
Trustee.
No,
you asked him to respond.
They also mentioned
Trustee, wait a minute.
the Planning and Zoning Board. I just want to make sure I understand the Planning and Zoning Board.
He's going to get to all of that, but
okay.
You spoke, allow him to respond.
All right.
The interjections,
I'm not interjecting. I want to clarify. I get a right to the podium just like you do.
Mr. Jones, grow up.
You know what? Yes, please, because I'm about to say something here.
That's right.
Go ahead.
Walk with me. Come on, sir. I got you. We got you, sir. Please walk with me. Thank you, sir.
See you Thursday.
Thank you, sir.
Sorry about the interruption.
Come on, Ms. Thompson.
So I'm not going to speak to this in the sense of how it affects me. This is not about me, right? It's about a business owner wanting to invest in the village of Maywood. Some things, though, are particularly pointed. For example, to make disparaging comments to allude to something being aloof or done wrong or improper, especially on our part, I can't see a reason why something would be considered improper when this could have been done in 12 months or less, and yet it wasn't our choice to be at a point of 21 to 24 months into this. right? So it's not about what we chose to do, right? Again, as to what the mayor was saying, this is a process, policy, vote, staff, attorneys, that's up to you all. What I do is I take the recommendations and the directives from the staff. They tell me exactly what they need, I get it to them. That's simple, right? To the mayor's point, if there is noise level checks, noise studies that need to be done, and there was never a noise study considered when we initially started this, if they're all of a sudden towards the end of us getting everything in, there's a noise study required, I've got to take the time to get a noise study done. Those noise studies can cost upwards of $50,000 and can take several months, right? So we take our time to do all the things that the staff and the board has asked us to do. We don't control that process or that policy. We abide by everything that's been asked of us. So to say that anything was aloof or anything that was handled in a way that is outside of what this board chooses to do by us is just absolutely false. That's number one. Two, there was a comment about we have not heard anything from the developer since 2004, and that's actually not accurate. I talk to the staff on a weekly basis. Ms. Michelle Kitch gives me regular updates about when next board meetings are so that we're prepared for things. Again, it's just absolutely ludicrous to hear someone say that they haven't heard anything from us. Maybe as a board, that might be true, but I talk to the staff on a regular basis, consistent basis, right? I don't know if this is something because of Frank. I can't tell you how many times I even talked to Frank about this because I don't think it was more than once, to be honest. All of my communications through staff have either been through Andrew Smith, who's no longer with you, or through Michelle Kitch. That's it. Frank had nothing to do with this. Speaking to this RFP process, let's be clear, right? And I don't want to lose an analogy. If any of you own a home, if your home is not listed on the MLS, you would think it's not for sale. That doesn't mean that somebody can't offer you money to buy it, right? The property was not for sale. We offered money to buy it. This board unanimously voted to accept that letter of intent. There was nothing improper about that. If you did not want to sell the property at that time, or if you wanted to go through a process of an RFP, which we would have been more than happy to go through, we would have done that. But you accepted the offer, and we moved forward according to the directives that this board and staff have given. 2 years to come up with other options. Trustee Brandon, you are absolutely right. Given that we submitted this LOI in April of 2024, you have absolutely had 2 years to come up, or something short of 2 years, to take any other offers that want to come to the table, because the LOI, as it clearly states, is not an ironclad contract to purchase. Anyone could have offered to buy it in that time frame, and to my knowledge, obviously I'm outside of the scope of the Village of Maywood, but to my knowledge, no one has presented to this board or to this community to do such. So that nobody used it in that 2 years, again, does not fall on us. Trustee Jones, public input. I am not opposed to public input in any way, shape, form, or fashion. As the mayor said, there is components of the remainder of this RDA that says that we do have to go through those processes. We have no problem with that. But to say that it's not a big deal to push it off 30 days, well, we have to have substantial deposits in to the dome manufacturer because they can't make the dome overnight, right? If we push those dates out, right now we're scheduled to go in November. If we don't go in November, we can't go in December. The ground's too hard. And if we don't go in into December, we don't go in until April, May, when they can actually the dome can't be put up at all at that point, at which point we've now wasted that entire November through April, May of revenue, which is closer to $4.5 million. Now, that is not to say I'm going to cram this down your throat. You got to take it because we're on a time frame. It is not that. We've gone through all of the steps and taken all of the time that was required of us to accomplish those steps, as again directed by the staff and by the board. We've gone through this for 21 months. This project should not take more than 12 months. We've gone through people saying we need to understand, how much weight can we put on a 3-foot plate cap? even though the village already has an engineering firm and already has studies that say specifically that people being on that property is not an issue. We're also not trying to build on it. There was a comment about the poles. To that point, the poles that are going in, they are significant tonnage, but those poles that are going in are just replacing the poles that were there prior, right? They're just going right back into the exact same places that they were before. To get into the engineering of it and what that does, I don't know in terms of the ground itself, but that part of the golf range is not a part of the dump site. The only part that is a dump site is actually the green astroturf, which extends from about the base of the deck to about 174 feet out. The poles are almost 300 feet out, so it does not interrupt the clay cap whatsoever. Business setup. So anybody that's ever owned a business, especially in the state of Illinois, you know that there's a thing that's called administrative dissolution, which simply means you didn't go pay the money to reinstate your business. I've been so focused on helping other people in this community with their business, I simply forgot to pay the $460.13 to reinstate your business. It is officially Cooperative Solutions Group is fully reinstated. Walker Family Holdings, which is the parent company of this, is an official business. This is the state of Illinois paperwork, 30 Madison Street, that is actually purchasing it. This is our actual file number and the official stamp from the state of Illinois. It is an official business. Those are the only 3 businesses that are formally exist right now, because we cannot set up, we will not set up Bushwood Reimagined as an operating business, because that operating business doesn't have a place to go yet. That's what this board is for, right? And so once this board says 30 Madison Street can buy the property, it does so, it renovates the property, then the tenant that will move into that space is Bushwood Reimagined, as well as the cooperative that will also do the entertainment. So it doesn't make sense to spend money to set up those businesses yet, because they don't even have a place to go yet. So, comparable number, wait a minute. Healthy Maywood West Cook. You tell me again what your question was with regards to Healthy Maywood West Cook.
Yeah, well, I guess I was under the impression that or maybe you can tell me what is your role? I mean, you mentioned your role within the Maywood Fest. I'm kind of wondering what your role is within that entity, and if there's any synergy between this project and what you would have been doing within that entity.
Okay, so let me start with Maywood Fest. The promoter of the R&B Summer Jam is a longtime business associate of mine. He called me one day and said, Jeff, I've got a concert, I've got 30,000 seats at SeatGeek Stadium, but my 2 headliners, LMA and Fantasia, are now booked on a tour, so I don't need as many seats. Do you have any ideas for where I can move this show? He had no idea about Maywood. I thought about Maywood because I'd love to see something like that come to my community and bring the attention that's needed. In my effort as a member of Healthy Maywood West Cook, economic development. And so one of the things that I made sure happened as a part of that was the Doing Good in the Wood video, where we talked about the 3 major things that keep people from buying a home in Maywood, investing in Maywood. That video was created by me, right? I used a specific videographer and said, Mayor, we're gonna need you to sit down and put this video out, because we need to understand how many people wanna buy a home in Maywood, and how many of them won't buy a home in Maywood because they still call it Murderwood, or because they think our taxes are the highest in the country, or because they believe that we don't have children or youth services available to them. That particular video proved that it was very effective in getting those registrations. There were 170 people that signed up and said they want to now buy a home in Maywood. There were 66 people that signed up and said we want to now start a business in Maywood. And then there was between 50 and 70 people that were interested in youth and senior care services. And so that was a connection, is bringing something bigger to Maywood, to bring eyeballs to Maywood, to bring awareness to Maywood. And in my role at Healthy Maywood West Cook, my role is to basically attract people that are in my business network to come and bring businesses to the community of Maywood. So for example, Terry Evans, who previously worked for the village, is opening Windy City Ribs. I am the consultant on that. And so here's where the divide comes in. Healthy Maywood West Cook, I make a recommendation for somebody to come to the village. I tell them what the process is going to look like. I tell them how things are going to work and how the process goes, especially through Economic Innovation and Sustainability Department, right? Once they're clear on that, they have an option. They don't have to work with me. They can work with whomever they want. But my role in helping Maywood West Cook is not as a consultant, it's really just to bring eyeballs and awareness to the community. And that's what I've done. AV Chicago is here because I brought them to do a quote for Sound and Light for the golf range, and then had a lengthy conversation with them about their prior location, and got them to move here to invest $5 million. Same thing with the golf range. Rick, I'm from Maywood, so I know former Mayor Edwina Perkins. I grew up in the Maywood Police Cadet Drill Team, so I know that golf range, and I know it's been sitting defunct, and I read the Village Free Press, so I know it's sitting there, right? What I also know is, even if you're not willing, even if you haven't put out an RFP, it doesn't mean that I can't submit a letter that says, hey, I've got somebody that's interested in buying it. And that's what happened in this case. That person, Mr. Greg Walker, at the end of the day, he has every option to say, thanks for introducing me to this opportunity. I've got my own team, as he's done with several other aspects of this project, right? So he's got his own realtor, he's got his own attorneys. He makes that choice. So if he says, Jeff, I'd like you to stay in this project and consult me through this, that's his prerogative, right? So there is no confluence or mishaps between what I do for that not-for-profit bringing awareness, because I do that every day. And whether people choose to work with me or not, we've had plenty of people that don't want to work with me, and that's okay. Plenty that have. So, comparable numbers to Top Golf. So Top Golf and licensing. Top Golf is actually one of two potential technology partners. Top Golf owns their technology. So the licensing that goes through Top Golf, as with another company called InRange, they own their own technology. We license that through a monthly rental subscription fee. So for every bay that opens up, so we've got 26 total bays, we pay a $200 a month licensing fee to use their technology. So there are no licensing rights or issues as it pertains to that. In terms of comparable numbers, because Top Tracer, which is the technology arm of Top Golf, is our technology partner, we have the opportunity to actually go to Naperville and Schaumburg together to talk to their management teams and to understand how many of their people would actually be coming to Maywood from Schaumburg or from Naperville. We also had the ability to submit our financials to their managers for them to come back to us and say, hey, we think you need to scale these numbers down. So they actually had a hand in crafting our numbers. Because if you left it up to me, we'd be 100% capacity every day. And they actually told us, no, you're going to average about 40%. So these numbers are quite scaled down as a direct result of Top Tracer and their management teams. So these numbers are very realistic. They're actually scaled down from theirs. They're $20 to $22 million. We're talking 10. And that's being conservative, just because at the end of the day, I think that the one thing that they don't get is they deal with a very different audience. We deal with an audience that's been underserved in the area of golf, and I think that our kids are going to have a great time with learning golf. We previously had programs here, Oak Park, Hillside. None of them have those programs anymore. And we've talked to them. We've talked to the Park District. We've talked to youth organizations about people getting involved in golf, and there's significant interest there. And so we think those numbers are significantly lower because, one, we deal with a very different demographic, and two, we deal with a demographic that's been highly underserved. In addition to that, we are expected to get about 15 to 20% of Schaumburg and Naperville coming to Maywood, because Maywood is actually closer to most of the people in the city of Chicago that use either one of their services. We're closer by almost 17 miles, right? So that's how we project those numbers through the help of Top Golf. Poles, re-drill, we deal with that. Parking, so there's some confusion about the shuttle. The shuttle is a private shuttle, right? So it's a shuttle that the Park at 30 Madison would pay for to shuttle our customers back and forth. So when they have a reservation, when they make a reservation online, they'll get a phone number inside their confirmation that says, when you arrive at CTA Parking, you can ultimately call this number and a shuttle bus will come and pick you up. With regards to the turn that you're referring to, that is on Van Buren going from west to east, Pace makes that turn every single day. And we drove that route probably 50 times between the time we started this and now. Yes, there is traffic there, but it's not so bad that a shuttle bus can't make a left turn. The buses do it every single day. And so going back to the revenue of it, that revenue belongs to CTA, that is their L Stop and Go platform. We've already confirmed that it's completely open to the public. You don't have to necessarily ride the train to use it. I'm a biker, and so I ride the Illinois Prairie Path, and I park my truck there. There's no issues with it, and we've confirmed that. So in terms of capacity, we have capacity for 50 cars on the 30 Madison lot that can, on average, accommodate about 100 people. There are 694 parking spaces at the CTA platform, which can account for another 1,388 people, which our capacity is only 500. So it's more than enough space for that purpose. Off return technology license that we talked about. Finally, let me be clear about my conversation with the attorney, because what I don't want to be misconstrued is that I take it for granted that anybody here is voting necessarily for this project as it's being presented tonight. When he asked the question, he specifically said, do you think you have the support? I said, I think I have the support because they voted unanimously on the LOI. Is that not what I said?
Right, and that's what I passed along to him.
Okay, so it is not that I take anybody's vote here for granted. I'm going off the basis that the initial LOI was submitted. This board voted on it unanimously. We've done everything that was asked by the staff, as well as by the board, as well as by the law firm. I don't have any reason to believe that this wouldn't be passed, given all that we've done, given that this gentleman has spent over $200,000 to get it done, and a significant amount of time to get to this point. So please do not be persuaded by the idea that I'm taking you off for granted, because that is just not the case. I think I touched on everything. Did I miss anything by anybody?
Any other trustee?
Mayor.
Trustee Sanchez and trustee Brandon. I just have some smaller logistical questions per your presentation. Have you spoken to, say, Proviso East regarding parking instead of CTA parking?
Oh, we haven't, but that is not so.
And you're having some sort of, in conjunction with, I don't know, maybe them starting a golf team or.
So we have not, and the reason why we haven't spoken to them about parking because we have enough parking to accommodate almost 1,500 people at this point. And so even before we talk to Proviso East, and we got to think about certain things like when they have track meets on a Saturday and we have concert on a Saturday, it's not going to make sense for us to even approach them about it because the answer is probably going to be no, right?
Sure.
So there are so many other options that we can utilize before we even get into using public grounds. Well, we might even say we could use 910 Madison is a municipal parking lot open to the public. There are multiple parking lots around the community where cars can be accommodated. There's multiple streets where it can be accommodated. There's so many other options before we even get to that point that it just wasn't necessary because we've got more than enough. We've got 5 times more capacity than we need. So, and what was the other part of the question?
On one of your slideshows, it said that this is totally maybe just a suggestion.
Sure.
I think it said your LLC would be the one owning the business while the corp would be owning the property. I don't know, you might want to talk to your accountants about that. I believe it should be the other way around where the LLC owns the property and the corp owns the business. But, like I said, that's something, I'm in my nerd phase right now, so. It's
I got it. We saw legal counsel on that already.
All my questions had been answered. The EPA contamination was probably one of the largest things where you're going to have human, having folks on the actual clay. Is it going to be all astroturf, or will there also be green grass on the field as well?
All right, so 2 things. One, the village through Weaver and Associates, I believe, did a study about the contamination and what the status of the clay cap was, or clay cap is. And the village has since then done events with more people than what we suggested, as well as vehicles, right? So that's one thing. I'm sorry, last part.
The grass,
Oh,
whether
grass.
it should just be astroturf or just grass?
No,
or
it's
combination of both?
the mix is gonna remain the same. So whether it's currently astroturf, which is really just that half U shape, that's gonna remain turf, because we can't really grow grass out of clay. And then everything beyond that U shape is all natural grass.
I think my last question alluding to that would be the usage of the frontage of the river and using it as like a beautification thing. I don't know, we would have to.
Yeah, our property line doesn't go that far. We're not responsible for that, yeah. I believe that's the state. Yeah, we don't go beyond that. Where the poles are, let's see.
Is there something that the village could possibly do to call the state and say, okay, since they're going to develop, if this gets passed, us as y'all having some sort of pathway from there to wherever, to the waterfront property?
So we did submit a grant for there to be a path along this Plains River from the walking trail, not the prairie, because prairie path doesn't start first, but the walking trail that goes from the CTA to the courthouse and then walk up along it. There was a grant submitted for that, to create a walking trail.
So as you can see, our property line actually ends here and then comes inside where the trees are. So anything beyond that, we're not allowed to touch.
I am a golfer, and I think $5 in some ways is pretty cheap. So
let me
that
clarify.
would be like the happy hour rate or something.
So that is really geared more towards kids, but let me be clear. That's $5 per person. There are 6 people in a pot, in a bay. So if you're at $7.50 per person times 6 people, it's about $45 for that group to golf for 1.5 hours.
Sure.
The real revenue for us, in addition to that, is the food, it's the beverage, it's the merchandise, it's the buying golf clubs or buying through us retail clubs or shoes or whatever the case might be.
One thing that I would definitely consider would be the 4 high schools in the 5-mile radius.
I've mentioned them several times at this point. So Proviso East, Proviso West, OPRF, Fenwick, yep. So PMS. I didn't know that they had an athletic program at all though. So, but okay, yes. And in addition to that, youth programs in the village of Maywood, as well as I was commissioner on the Maywood Park District. I still maintain my relationship with commissioners there. So there's opportunities there as well. I still have great relationships with some of the people in planning and zoning that were in the Broadview Park District, as well as the mayor there. So there are plenty of opportunities for us to include kids in this. In addition to just the golfing side of things, like one of the things that we're also doing with the entertainment side, which was a part of the things that I asked for from AV Chicago, is I grew up in high school and I made college, and one summer I made about $47,000 being a stagehand, all right? So May to September, right? We have that same opportunity to do the same thing on the golf range when we do live entertainment events, to take the kids from our community and give them those union jobs at $30, $40, $50 an hour, incorporating AV Chicago into our overall plans. So we absolutely have in mind, bringing the youth in this community into the program.
Yeah, I just want to just reiterate, what my stance was even back in 2024. And I've been consistent in what I have been communicating is making sure that we are open and transparent about this particular property. And one of those steps was most certainly having the developer to go before the Planning and Zoning Commission and making sure that we had more time for other potential developers to actually make a proposal as well. And so I stated that back then, and I'm stating that this evening as well. I heard something that was mentioned that we have not asked any questions about this particular property. But Mr. Eden stated this evening that he has been in communication with someone on the village end, which is Michelle Kitch, who's representing the village of Maywood. So in some report that's provided to this village board, because we get a report from the village manager and from the department heads on the status of property or any activity that's happening in the village of Maywood so that we're not blinded by anything, that we're well informed. And so during that time frame, this board had not received any updates, any at all, in regards to the status, the progress of this particular development situation. And so that's why, say I don't blame you all, but it's an internal situation. It appears to me that we're just learning about the progress of this development this evening.
So I hear you. That's not my space or my lane to speak on. All I can speak on is what I was told to do. We did it. That's all I can speak to.
Sure, Trustee Williams, the trustee house.
Well, I guess you answered pretty much all my questions. It looked like a very ambitious goal, and I hope you can pull it off. I guess my question is, what is the remedy to the village if we approve this RDA and you purchase this property? It might have been mentioned earlier. I can't pull up the RDA now. What is the remedy to the village if they can't pull this project off?
There are two remedies. One is an internal for Mr. Walker, which is he loses whatever money he's put into it, right? So at this point, it's about $200,000. Probably immediately after the RDA is done, we're going to order a $1.2 million dome. We're going to order another $180,000 in kitchen equipment, and all of that is cash on demand, right? So how much he has invested in it, that's the one internal check. The other internal check is your RDA development agreement clearly states, as the village attorney says, you claw it back, you take it back. You've got money in escrow for that purpose, and ultimately, I would assume that if that money ever were to run out because we're not getting the project done, then the village just claws back the property and the investor is out his funds. What I will say though is this, if that happens and the village of Maywood decides to take it over or somebody else decides to do the exact same project, and I say that because in your own internal assessments, the report clearly says the only thing you can really put out there where the clubhouse is retail or residential. It's not very likely that very many businesses or residents are going to go into where a garbage dump is, pushing that foul odor. But ultimately, somebody would get a golf range that's partially done and having God send it to them.
I guess in the last 21 months, has anyone, and this is not for you, I guess this is for Michelle or Maya, has anyone shown interest in this property at all in the last 21 months?
No, not that I recall either.
And to speak to your point about it being ambitious, I'm a marketer by trade, right? I got forced into dealing with operations and the consulting side of things because a lot of my clients don't know how to do operations very well. But I'm a marketer by trade, knowledge, and experience, right? And so, for example, my experience has been as an individual promoter with my own company. I did 4,000 people every month at Excalibur nightclub for comedy shows for over 3 years, right? That's verifiable. I can give you references. To be able to do that independently is kind of a big deal, right? But when we talk about putting 7,000 people onto that field, usually a festival like R&B Summer Jam, that usually takes about a year of planning to be able to put that many people on the field. The promoters that I know that we can bring to the community to put those types of events together, they can do it in 10 to 12 weeks, right? And so we are already planning, we're already having conversations tentatively about what we can do in terms of programming because we wanted to be able to speak intelligently to this board about what we can do. The promoters that I work with are doing shows not just locally but regionally and nationally as well, and they're doing arena-based shows. So anywhere from 6,000 to 60,000 people for events. So it's not as if we're trying to do everything ourselves. We're a lot like a United Center might be. They bring in outside promoters like a Feld or a Jam or a Ujama or Live Nation to come in and produce the events that they want to see.
No, yeah, I'm not doubting the ability to get it done. I'm just speaking in general.
What's the projected number of jobs being created, and is there a plan to hire directly from Maywood?
Okay, first. So including turnover over the course of the year, which we expect turnover to be high because younger demographic just doesn't stay put nowadays. We expect to turn over our business at least 4.5 times over the course of a year, with a minimum of 100 people per season. So we'll likely end up employing and unemploying, or they'll unemploy themselves, roughly 450 to 500 people, not including the labor that AV Chicago brings in doing the production for these events. So I don't know what their numbers are per se in terms of what they bring, but roughly 450 to 500 over the course of the year.
And is it a plan for Maywood?
Maywood first.
Okay. Making sure.
Yeah, so again, I was in a Maywood Park District for a reason, right? I absolutely believe and love these kids. They are going to have the first crack at it, right? So this is, I'm not going to say that we're going to discriminate against any particular age, but we will make every effort to bring kids in and get involved. Again, I learned a lot in promoting and marketing as a college student, right? And I've had a lot of great opportunities as a result. I've traveled all over the world. I've met all kinds of entertainers and stars and athletes and have great relations across the world. I'd like other kids to have those same opportunities, especially for what it can do for them financially.
Yeah.
Trustee Snyder?
First of all, I would say thank you, Jeff, for bringing this to us. I really do. Like you said, Trustee Brandon said, a lot of things came up that we didn't know about. But hearing you and hearing this presentation, you have went through guidelines. You followed the direction you need to follow. So if we did it, well, I'm new to the board, but anyway, I've heard so many things about that property when I was a resident sitting out here, parking lot, things like solar panels, but is that going to generate revenue? No. This works. I mean, so hopefully it goes through. I like the plans. I like the numbers. You did your homework, and I really do appreciate it. AV Chicago, I'm an audiovisual person, and so I even went over there, walked through, talked to them, they showed me around. Thank you for that also. We need revenue coming into the village. Not saying to shortcut nothing, not saying cut corners, but do it the right way. Jeff has went through all the procedures he can go to, talk to the right people. We're waiting on EPA and all this, it takes time. But we can't keep cutting people off who's trying to bring money to the village and saying, oh, well, we didn't know nothing about it. Yeah, we know about it. It comes to emails. I'm new to getting all these emails and everything from village manager, and whoever it comes from. But every time somebody comes here, and I've said out there, like I said, as a resident, it gets chopped down. No. Now we're in 2026. We are doing better as a village. The residents are happier to me. We see the advancement of the village. I hear the words on the street about Maywood is thriving. Gotta give it an opportunity. This is a good opportunity. He's giving us all the information, give us the numbers, right? So let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. We can get the information that we need as a board to make this happen. So thank you again for everything. Thank you, Trustee.
Thank you.
I want to thank you for acknowledging all the work that they did. Because somebody on that board should have apologized to this gentleman. As a citizen sitting out here, you all don't see each other. You don't see it the way at least I see it. And the problems that were created regarding this meeting.
So respectfully, we can't have board comment. I mean, the public comment right now. So thank you, Mr. Eaton. Going to 6, I need a recommendation from the village board members. We know we are going to vote on it in the agenda, but just recommendation. My recommendation is move forward with it, but if anybody opposes, I guess we can speak now or adjourn the public hearing and go into the rest of the board meeting.
Mayor.
Trustee Jones.
I do agree. I do feel like you have done your homework, and I am impressed with a lot of these answers. My gut feeling feels like this is a little ambitious, As Trustee Williams said, I also think, when I think about success, and even like the Maywood Fest, it was successful at its space, it was safe and those type of things. Financially, I don't know if it was very successful. Actually, I know it was not successful. And that's also because we were ambitious about what we were going to collect in revenue. So I just have to be consistent with that. What my recommendation would be, and if we could do it in an expedited fashion, just to make sure we are getting that community input part. If we could expedite it, I would like for this, you said you'd be willing to, for this to go through the planning and zoning board. And if that's a part, I don't know if that's a part of what you read off. So if they have to do that, I don't understand, but I don't, did it say planning and zoning board? I think I did see that.
It definitely says.
So at that point, then it's gonna come back to the board. I guess I was under the impression that we were making a final decision.
We're saying to move forward with the RDA, which moves forward with everything else that needs to get to happen to get them to closing.
So, I mean, so is there, I guess I'm trying to understand, is there gonna be a final vote after this, or would this be it?
This would be it to get them to closing, but they still have to go through their due diligence with staff and with permits and with.
With the plan, would they have to go through the planning and zoning board review?
If there is zoning relief and planning needed.
Right,
Trustee, you are the elected body to govern the.
I'm asking a question.
Planning, right?
I'm asking a question.
So, according to the RDA agreement, developers shall file an application and all required supporting documents requesting the village approval and issuance of special permit or for both indoor and outdoor recreation and live entertainment use prior to closing of the subject property, as well as any other zoning relief found to be necessary. All such zoning relief must be sought by the developer and approved prior to closing. Compliance by the developer with any other pre-closing conditions specific is also required. So yes, it will have to go through more processing before they can get to closing. At this point, the village of Maywood is voting as an RDA. Are we still good with the 150 rate? Are we good with the conditions that they are asking for? And are we interested in staff continuing this process to get them to close? That is what we're voting.
Attorney, I understand that language, but it's not specifically saying, it sounds like there's a if. So if there aren't any variants or anything needed, then it sounds like that wouldn't be deemed necessary.
well, they absolutely need special use for.
It's an entertainment.
Right, for, not just for live entertainment, but for the indoor and outdoor recreation. So they cannot open without going to the zoning board, which will come back to you for approval.
So this won't be our final vote, essentially. Which is what, okay. All right, so I'm cool with moving forward with that, assuming that it has to go through that next step.
It does.
Okay, so it does. So, okay, I would recommend, that'd be my recommendation, then it goes through those kind of final steps. Hopefully we can expedite it, so I don't think you're on a tight timeline, but if we do that, then.
All right, so I need an adjournment out of the public hearing and then reopening the regular meeting.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motion by Trustee Sanchez, second by Trustee Owsley. Please call the roll.
Trustee Williams.
Aye.
Trustee Sanchez.
Aye.
Trustee Jones.
Aye.
Trustee Owsley.
Aye.
Trustee Smiley.
Aye.
Trustee Brandon.
Aye.
Mayor Booker.
Aye. Reopening 9 p.m. I need are we pulling E from the omnibus agenda, or are we okay with the omnibus agenda?
Pull it.
Yes, pull it.
Okay. We'll pull it to 17E and we'll go on it right after omnibus agenda. Motion to approve by Trustee Jones. Need a second?
Second.
Please read the omnibus agenda, Trustee Jones. Second by Trustee Williams.
A, motion to approve the monthly financial report in the amount of $970,162.28. B, motion to approve the warrant list number 200568 dated January 13, 2026 in the amount of $3,564,258.74. C, motion to approve the payment of invoice number 230-230660 dated December 31st, 2025 and issued by Air One Equipment Inc. of Elgin, Illinois in the amount of $6,034 for 3 sets of replacement fire hoses. And D, an ordinance authorizing the issuance of an amended Class B package store liquor license for the expansion of the licensed premises to include the 519 and 523 Lake Street properties in Maywood, Illinois, as owned and operated by Bacha Enterprises Incorporated, doing business as Super Mercado Oriente for purposes of the retail sale of alcohol.
Please call the roll.
Trustee Williams.
Aye.
Trustee Sanchez.
Aye.
Trustee Jones.
Aye.
Trustee Allison.
Aye.
Trustee Smiley. Trustee Brandon.
Aye.
Mayor Booker.
Aye. I need a motion to approve an ordinance authorizing the approval and execution of the redevelopment agreement for sale and development of 30 Madison Street property, purchaser developer 30 Madison Street LLC. Inc. So moved. So moved by Trustee Williams. I need a second. Second by Trustee Owsley.
Mayor, can I ask just one
Trustee
clarifying?
Jones.
So, attorney, so this will be on the February agenda after this has gone through that, whatever the kind of due diligence process for us to give us a final approval. Is that a fair assessment?
What will be on
This, I guess after this goes through the special permit, request or.
Right, so staff will work with the developer to set that public hearing. It has to be noticed, and then a hearing held before the plan commission and a recommendation comes back here. So I can't say for sure it's February, but it is.
Okay, so I guess I'm wondering if we're.
Trustee, think about it this way. There's a lot of yellow still on this agreement. So the yellow will come back to the board for final approval.
All right, so there is a last phase. There's a.
Right, we
phase.
still have a few issues to work through in the agreement itself.
Okay, sounds good.
Please call the roll.
Trustee Williams.
Aye.
Trustee Sanchez.
Aye.
Trustee Jones.
Aye.
Trustee Allison.
Aye.
Trustee Smiley.
Aye.
Trustee Brandon.
No.
Mayor Booker.
Aye. Motion approved. All right, so you all received a document from the assistant village manager, acting village manager, Satchel, in regards to the electricity at 615 South Fifth Avenue for the Maywood Market. We know that we have received a DCEO appropriation of $2.5 million to get the grocery store reopened. Next board meeting in February, we're looking at the agreement to be approved in regards to having the construction start in March 1st. So really what we're asking for right now, what the team is asking for right now is they need to get all the electricity on in the building to have the full scope of everything that needs to get done so that construction can be on time to get to that third quarter opening that we're targeting. So there are electricity, this is just for electricity. There are 3 bids, so we're not doing a bid waiver. There are 3 different bids, but understanding that where the goal is, this is $250,000 that we're looking for emergency motion that will be ratified at the February 3rd board meeting. But the $250,000 will be out of our Madison TIF, which the grocery store is in. Once the funds of the $2.5 million is pulled down from DCEO, the $250,000 will be reimbursed to the TIF. But that being said, we need to get the $250,000 to get the electricity done so that we can get to the February 3rd agreement and closing for the actual grocer that we're working with that has an LI. So if I could get a motion.
I have a question.
No, I mean, if you have a question, trustee.
Not wait till the motion is made then.
Okay.
This is consensus, right?
So this
Yeah,
is,
it-
we have to ratify it,
if you guys
we have
want-
to ratify it at the next board.
If everyone has a
The official
consensus, then
approval.
we can ratify it.
So it's like, so if there's all in, do I give all in favor or just one consensus? Or like individually?
Just do it.
All right, so trustee Smiley, would you be in favor of the $250,000? Trustee Williams, would you be in favor? Trustee Jones, trustee Owsley, trustee Sanchez, trustee Brandon.
Yes, but I would like to have a copy of the grant proposal.
It wasn't a grant, it's an allocation. So if you go to the DCEO appropriations for 2026 for the state.
So there's nothing in writing?
It's not a grant, it's an allocation. So the allocation was made by Speaker Welch to give us the $2.5 million.
Okay, but we have nothing in writing.
What was the website, DCEO?
So it's just the budget, so. if
You go to the budget.
Yeah, it's just the fiscal year budget. It's an 884 page, I can email it to you.
Okay.
But it's literally right under the DCO capital appropriations listing.
So this grant is coming directly to the village of Maywood.
This is for the village of Maywood directly, yes.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
All right. Okay, so we'll ratify the $250,000 at the next board meeting. But that's it. Everybody got different updates in regards to legal litigation that is still ongoing. If there are any questions.
I'd like to make a board trustee comment.
Board trustee comment, trustee Jones.
I would like for the board to reconsider this notion that just because we have these expired terms, that we shouldn't be able to operate. Even with the village managers have operated off expired contracts and still get paid. If we haven't landed there yet, there have been established committees. We've delayed this thing for far too long. Outside of maybe trustee Smiley and trustee Owsley, I think they've already our current assignments. We could probably just reassign based on the seats that they have applied, but I don't think there should be any pushback for a trustee that wants to meet about village business in any capacity and want to make a recommendation. I don't think we should discourage that, even if there's this expired. To me, that's a technicality. Okay, fine. If we rearrange it, whatever. But I guess what I'm saying is I don't want any pushback if I reach out to the village manager or the clerk and them saying, well, the mayor said that, you're expired or something. So I would like for us to be able to move forward with any discussion that we'd like to have about village business. And if the board doesn't want to take the recommendation, that's fine. But I don't think we should be discouraged based on some sort of technicality about, because maybe we're going to switch things up or whatever. I would like to do that. That's what we essentially get paid to do. There's trustees that, that's our formal business. So if we would like to meet and have discussions on topics, the same way we don't police you and what you talk about and what you want to do, I think we should be able to have meetings and discussions, whether it be especially about the finances or whatever the topic are, and invite the community to do that and for us to champion thoughts or whatever, whether it's expired or not, and we revamp it and that's what we decide to do, that's fine. But I don't think we should be discouraged. I would like my board trustee support in this until we do finalize it. But the reality is we've tried to meet. It hasn't happened for several reasons, and we get it. Some we can't control. But my comment is, and I'd like to get support from the board. These meetings and saying no comments, that doesn't look good. It just doesn't. That's an opportunity for us to lead and champion topics that we would like to talk about. So I would like to get the board support. If y'all don't want to meet, that's fine. But I would like to, with the finance director / village manager, talk about these things in my capacity and get your all support. If we switch it up, that's fine. I'm cool with that. But I don't want that to be the leading voice. It's a board decision. The board made these committees. We switched it up. So if it's expired, whatever. We've worked with people on expired contracts all the time. They just operate until we finalize it. So that's what I want to say. I don't think we should be discouraged or have, now, if I reach out to somebody's office or get support, they're talking about what you said, versus what's the board support. So I'm asking for that support. And until we do get the board retreat, until we do finalize it, I would like to meet and to discuss these things. And even if it's just for kicks and giggles, I would like to do that in my capacity in the seat that I was elected for.
Thank you, trustee. So let me say, trustee, hold on one second. Let me say this. The November board retreat didn't happen because you were the only trustee that said no to the date. The December meeting didn't happen. I don't even remember why we had to reset it. January retreat didn't happen because there was a funeral.
Okay.
So realistically speaking, we're going into February to have a board retreat. This is the thing that kind of gets me. Nobody's disparaging you from talking to the acting village manager and the director of finance. If you as a trustee want to have that conversation with the director of finance and acting village manager, nobody in the world has ever once, for one time, stopped you. What I'm saying is, as the village of Maywood and as this administration is going to the 24th of January to have a special community meeting that's going to require staff to come in. And then we're going to have a board retreat in February that's going to require staff to come in. I think it's rather unfair for you to say, even if it's just for giggles, as if people don't have a 9 to 5 to work all day. Same as they worked all day, staff that's here, still show up at 9 a.m., but here we are at 10 o'clock at night. They still are going to show up tomorrow at 9 a.m. So you have a community meeting where we talk about finances on January 24th.
That's your
We
meeting.
have, that's not my meeting, trustee.
Whose meeting is it?
If you look at the actual flyer, the meeting is the community, the department heads are running that meeting. So again, that's
your meeting.
Okay.
I would like to spearhead a committee. I've been assigned to a committee. It's only expired. That's
Trustee,
it.
at
This is
the end of the
concept.
day, staff is already doing 2 meetings that
Stop
are not
speaking for
part of their
staff, man. Stop speaking for them.
I can though.
Why?
Because they are doing 2 different meetings that have nothing to do with their work.
Okay, but we used to meet twice a month as a board, and I got reduced to once.
And
So we used to
and look at
meet
how
twice.
efficient it is now. We would meet for
Well-
6 hours twice a month for 12 hours.
It's actually not that efficient. Remember, the reason why we got here is because you say you're working 8 hours a week, right?
Trustee, at the end of the day,
So it's not that efficient.
if
Working
you
8
want
hours.
to talk to the director of finance, there's no one stopping you.
Again, I would like support
There's a
from
board
the
retreat.
board. I'm asking my board colleagues. I don't want, actually, maybe it's just a matter of opinion, but I don't want any pushback. If I want to call a meeting, a committee meeting, I just don't want any pushback, whether the mayor disagrees or not. Because I didn't agree to this meeting on the 24th. No one asked me, so I don't know why I have to ask you.
All right.
I'm just saying, I would like to get just the support. If we want to meet as committees and bring recommendations to the board, there shouldn't be a, well, no, I'm sorry, you can't do that. That's all I'm saying.
Thank you for your trustee comments.
That's all I'm saying.
I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by trustee Sanchez, second by trustee Smiley. Please call the roll.
Trustee Williams,
Aye.
trustee Sanchez,
Aye.
trustee Jones,
Aye.
trustee Osmond, trustee Smiley, trustee Brandon. Mayor Booker.
Meeting is adjourned. Everyone have a lovely night.
So that means I can talk, right?
Nope. So we all received the confidential memo, as I was just saying. If you have any individual questions for the attorney, please contact the attorney directly. Because everything in the memos are pending litigation that we need to review as a confidential memo and not share with the public or social media. But if there are specific questions, please address them to the attorney.
You feel for me?
That have a go into it, and have to